In the year 2088, spirit energy returned to Earth, allowing humans to awaken the hidden special abilities within their bodies using spirit power. While all his friends were awakening, this young man, with supposedly sky-high potential, awakened the ability of beast transformation. But for some goddamn reason, his transformation was into a white rabbit, the weakest of them all. Lin Chu knew the law of the land in this new era. Only the strong can survive. And as a feeble white rabbit, he could only await his fate of being torn to shreds. Take today, for instance, while he was just strolling down the street. He came across a female streamer who was live streaming. Even though they were in the middle of a busy street, she was dressed incredibly provocatively. This girl was so scantily clad that countless men on the street were getting nosebleeds, Lin Kyo included. His rabbit ears shot straight up out of embarrassment. And it was precisely because of these two rabbit ears that the female streamer spotted him with malicious intent. She made a deal with the fans watching her stream. If she could knock down a random guy on the street in under 1 minute, they had to send her rocket gifts. And the target she locked onto was none other than Lin Chu, because the streamer figured that anyone who beastifies into a rabbit had to be weak. Timidly, Lin Chu was approached and then teased by her. He'd rarely ever interacted with girls in his life, and his opponent was a beautiful woman dressed in next to nothing. Because of that, Lin Chu couldn't even process what her objective was. Then, he was suddenly knocked down by one of her moves. The whole thing happened in the blink of an eye. Being turned into a laughingstock for no reason at all left Lin Chu feeling both hurt and humiliated. Meanwhile, the female streamer was gloating, instantly receiving a flood of rocket gifts from her fans. Lin Chu endured the throbbing pain and scrambled back to his feet, but his streak of bad luck was far from over. Because before he could even stand up straight, he was hit by a truck and sent flying a great distance. The driver stuck his head out of the window, and not only did he not apologize, he started spewing insults. As he was flung through the air, Lin Chu couldn't stop cursing his own terrible luck. It wasn't just today. His entire life had always been this unlucky. When he finally hit the ground, his entire body ached as if every single one of his ribs was broken. But the driver couldn't care less about his life. He even got out of his truck to demand compensation because he'd just taken his new vehicle out for a drive and had the misfortune of hitting an unlucky rabbit. That rabbit being Lin Chu, of course. He lay on the ground, blood pouring from his nose and mouth, but the driver just assumed he was faking it to get money. So he abused his power and blasted Lin Chu with another attack. He was already severely injured from being hit by the truck, and now he was being brutally assaulted by a lightning-type awakened. Lin Kyo felt his body reaching its absolute limit. He was probably about to kick the bucket, but he couldn't accept this. If only his talent wasn't transforming into a rabbit. If only he could have been strong, too. And in that very moment, hovering between life and death, the heavens seemed to take pity on Lin Chu, and a true miracle occurred. He was chosen by a mysterious power. It had spent 35,000,005 years searching for a suitable host, and in the end, it chose him, the weak little white rabbit. Just when Lin Chu thought he was a goner, the space around him suddenly transformed, and he was pulled into a digitized space, like something out of a sci-fi movie. Surrounding Lin Chu were countless virtual windows with confusing terms like unlock professional perspective, breeding, and spatial awakening. Before Lin Chu could even process this absurd situation, a voice suddenly rang out. "Robot 9527, ready to serve, master." He was stunned yet again. What robot? Who's a master? Seeing Lin Chu scared stiff, Robot 9527 began to explain that he was the most suitable host it had found in nearly 35,000,005 years. Therefore, after that driver attacked you, Lin Chu it used all of its power to bring you back from the brink of death. Realizing he wasn't dead and had even accidentally acquired a system, Lin Chu's eyes lit up. He finally understood what those virtual windows surrounding him were. They were skills that had literally fallen from the sky. So, does this mean I'm not dead? And these 13 awesome-looking skills? Are they all mine? Can I just pick whichever one I want? In your dreams. The system immediately threw a bucket of cold water on his hopes. Robot 9527 continued its orientation, explaining that it could help Lin Chu awaken one new skill per day. However, that skill could only be chosen at random, because it had already consumed a massive amount of energy just to revive Lin Chu. Plus, its host, him, didn't have nearly enough energy to actively select a skill. Therefore, random selection was the only option. Lin Kyo's joy was short-lived, dashed by that bucket of ice-cold water. This stupid system. Couldn't you have found me 2 minutes sooner? Now I have to awaken a random skill. What if I leave this system space and come back with some totally useless skill? Wouldn't that bastard driver just beat me to a pulp again, and I'd just die for real this time? If that happens, then what was the freaking point of you, 9527, saving me in the first place? Dear host, it is now time to make a decision. Do you wish to awaken a skill at this time? Urged on by the system's robot, Lin Chu had no choice but to agree. After all, he'd been given a second chance at life. He might as well give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe he'd awaken a good skill. And it seems the heavens truly did hear Lin Chu's desperate prayers. On his very first try, he drew an SSS-Rank skill called Skill Enhancement. It could help Lin Chu enhance his own existing skills. With the skill selection process complete, Lin Chu left the system space and woke up back in reality. That driver was shocked to see him still alive after his electric shock attack, and even more shocked to see that Lam Thu, who he'd just beaten to a pulp, was now full of energy. With just a casual jump, he was already over 10 meters high. This was because Lam Thu had used an enhancement skill on his original skill, Rabbit's Springboard, which greatly boosted the power of his legs. The attacking and jumping ability of his thighs had been massively improved. Lam Thu leaped more than 10 meters into the air, then landed straight on top of the driver's truck. Because he jumped so high, he landed with great force, instantly denting the roof of the truck. Seeing this, the driver went berserk. "You little punk, how dare you treat my baby like that? I see you've got a death wish." The truck was already a piece of junk. But how could the driver pass up this chance to play the victim? He was about to charge forward to teach Lam Thu a lesson and vent his anger, but unexpectedly Lam Thu calmly said, "You're the one with the death wish." As Lam Thu finished speaking, he kicked his opponent. With his legs enhanced, he went from powerless to exceptionally strong. A single kick, not even at full power, was enough to send the man flying. That driver flew nearly 10 meters. This astounded the female streamer standing nearby. After dealing with the man, Lam Thu didn't forget to handle her because she was the one who had humiliated him in the middle of the street. She was also the root cause of him being hit by that driver. Seeing Lam Thu approach, she panicked, crying as she backed away. "Don't come over here!" Lam Thu had no intention of letting her off that easily. He used his enhancement skill again to boost the power of his original skill, Rabbit Fist. The strength of his two hands was enhanced, and with it, his attack power and speed also increased dramatically. But at the end of this day, Lam Thu was a gentleman. He wasn't about to hit a defenseless girl in front of a crowd of people. Therefore, Lam Thu just used the speed of his hands to play a little game of ripping her clothes to give her a scare. Of course, Lam Thu didn't tear everything off. He still left enough fabric to cover the essential parts. The female streamer was so scared that she fainted on the spot. Lam Thu then covered her with his jacket. After all, it would be quite an... Once everything was settled, he picked up the female streamer's phone, because the live stream hadn't ended yet. So the girls' fans had witnessed the entire scene, and they began to furiously curse at Lam Thu. But Lam Thu was already used to being cursed at. He ignored all of it, lifted the phone, pointed it straight at his own face, and spoke authoritatively. "I'll only say this once. Listen up, you kids. I am Rabbit, your grandpa." This incident quickly became a hot topic on social media because the streamer, named Trin Man, was a rather well-known online personality. Lam Thu's classmates also quickly recognized that the man who appeared at the end of Trin Man's live stream was none other than the little white rabbit, the weak Lam Thu from their class. Therefore, today, when he had just arrived at class, many female students rushed over. "Little Rabbit, was that really you? You've gone viral on social media. You're so handsome, it's to die for." We all watched the live broadcast yesterday. Lam Thu was a bit flustered. Yesterday, after showing off his skills, both the driver and the female streamer had to apologize to him properly. They no longer dared to look down on him. The fact that he had the rabbit beastification talent was all thanks to the skill he drew from the system. Speaking of which, Lam Thu just remembered that he hadn't drawn a new skill today. So he summoned Robot 9527. Unlike yesterday, today Lam Thu only received an E-rank skill. It was called Sowing the World. Putting aside the skill's rank, its name was also really a bit misleading. Lam Thu thought it was some kind of ability that would help him gather all the beautiful women in the world with one hand. He could sow his seed in them as much as he wanted, but the system bluntly shattered that dark fantasy. In reality, sowing the world was just a skill that helped Lam Thu master all planting techniques related to seeds. No matter how hard a seed was to grow, once it was in his hands, it would definitely be able to take root and sprout successfully. After hearing this, Lam Thu was utterly disappointed and began to frantically curse the system. If that's the case, you could have just called the skill sowing. Why did you have to name it Sowing the World and mislead people? "Hey, Lamb White Rabbit!" An annoyed voice rang out, pulling Lam Thu from his anger at being tricked by the system. The owner of the voice was Lai Nam, a classmate who often bullied him. He was a Wind-type awakened, bronze level 4 stars. Just seeing him appear, Lam Thu knew immediately that he wasn't about to say anything nice. Sure enough, Lai Nam then opened his mouth and said some very unpleasant things. "I see you're so popular with the female students. It's such a pity that you deliver food outside after school. Otherwise, let me introduce you to a more suitable job. If your luck is good, making tens of thousands a day might not be a problem." Lai Nam's words sounded sincere, but Lam Thu didn't believe the guy. The one who always bullied him would willingly introduce him to a job like that. So, he asked suspiciously what kind of job it was, specifically working at that Club X. With a face like yours, I bet every client at the club will pick you. In other words, Li Nam was trying to get Lin Thu a job as a male escort at a nightclub, a clear attempt to humiliate him in front of the class. Lin Thu knew he wouldn't suddenly be so kind, so he didn't get angry. Instead, he continued to ask, "Oh, it seems the great young Master Li is a frequent customer there, huh? A man of wealth, indeed." Flustered by Lin Thu's flattery, Li Nam's head was spinning, so without thinking he nodded and said, "Of course." But when he heard the snickering from his classmates, he realized his mistake and quickly tried to backtrack. "No, how could I possibly go to a place like that?" Seeing Li Nam's flustered state, Lin Thu was very pleased and continued to add fuel to the fire, embarrassing him further. Humiliated and enraged, Li Nam wanted to teach Lin Thu a lesson. But before he could even make a move, the teacher walked into the classroom. Did he dare start a fight at school? Fighting at school results in punishment, and on top of that, he'd be caught red-handed by the teacher right here and now. Of course, Li Nam didn't dare make another peep. Everyone sat down. The homeroom teacher stepped onto the podium and roared, and the students obediently returned to their seats. Today, he had two important announcements for the class. First, next week they would have their third citywide knowledge assessment. They needed to study hard to achieve high scores. Second, awakened individuals with special abilities like Lin Thu and Li Nam would also have a special competition. Important figures would be there to observe, and their performance would directly affect whether they would be admitted into Linvu University. As soon as he heard the words Linvu University, Lin Thu was wide awake. Every awakened person like him knew about this university. After the restorations of spiritual energy, the Earth entered a new era, and Linvu University was established to specialize in training high-aptitude awakened individuals. Because the school's teaching resources were limited, the number of admitted students was also restricted. Therefore, the ability competition was created as one of the benchmarks to evaluate students. It would determine which students were qualified to attend. Previously, Lin Thu had never dared to dream of getting into Linvu University, because he had only awakened the beastification talent, and it was a rabbit with mediocre aptitude at only the 2-star bronze level. But now Lin Thu had Robot 9.527. He could awaken a new skill every single day, so he began to dream of one day setting foot in this top-tier university. With this in mind, Lin Thu boldly raised his hand. He wanted to ask the teacher for more details about the rules of the ability user competition. However, before Lin Thu could even open his mouth, the teacher coldly threw a bucket of cold water on him. "Lin Thu, don't even think about participating in that ability competition. Your aptitude is too poor. You'll only end up embarrassing our school." The teacher's words hit Lin Thu like a 1,000-pound stone. But even so, it couldn't break his soaring spirit. Lin Thu was still determined to register for the exam. With the help of 9.527, it would be a waste not to even try. He insisted on signing up, but the teacher firmly objected, arguing that his abilities were too mediocre. He blocked Lin Thu from taking the test in the name of protecting the school's honor. This infuriated him. These dog-eyed bastards looking down on a poor kid. Just wait for the day I awaken. And those 13 badass skills. I'll definitely string you all up and beat you in front of the whole world, Lin Thu thought. Seeing Lin Thu's indignant expression, the homeroom teacher reconsidered. Perhaps he felt that blocking Lin Thu was too unreasonable, so he changed his approach. "If you can place in the top 10 in the citywide competition, the third one, I will give you a chance to take the test." Lin Thu's academic results had always been at the bottom of the class, so the teacher made this condition. It was hardly any different from flat-out forbidding him from participating. And yet, without a second's hesitation, Lin Thu immediately replied, "It's a deal. Then I'll let my results do the talking." He had never thought he could get into the top 10 in the entire city, but that was before. Now, no matter what it took, Lin Thu had to get into Linvu University. After class, Lin Thu dashed out of the school gates. Grades were important, but university tuition was also very high, so every afternoon after school, he worked a part-time job delivering fast food. Even though the pay was meager, every little bit he could save helped. But today, just as he rushed out of the school gate in a hurry, his path was blocked by a luxury car. Moreover, the person who stepped out was a stunning beauty. Most importantly, after getting out of the car, she looked straight at him and asked, "Are you that little rabbit?" Lin Thu didn't know who this was or why she was looking for him, but the other male students standing nearby quickly recognized her. This was Chin Chan Chan, the famous goddess of the entire city, known by every boy in their year. Being called Little Rabbit by the school bell, that was a huge blow to Lin Thu's pride. He was, after all, a passionate man. What dignity was left after being called that? Especially by such an incredibly beautiful girl. He cleared his throat a few times, trying to salvage his image, even holding out his ready WeChat QR code in front of her. "Allow me to introduce myself. My surname is Lin, given name Thu, not Little Rabbit. You can call me classmate Lin. This is my contact information. Feel free to scan it. Don't be shy. Tan Chan Chan hadn't even said a word when the girl next to her giggled. You're so annoying, little bunny bro. You really love to cause trouble, don't you? It was only then that Lam Thu realized this girl was the streamer. Trinman. She had come specifically to return Lam Thu's jacket, and she didn't forget to remind him to keep her identity a secret. A famous online streamer. The two of them whispering made it hard for Tan Chan Chan not to get annoyed. Hey man, is he the beast type awakened you were talking about? The one with super strength, that's him? She had originally come because Trin Man bragged about meeting a beast type with incredible power. But now that she was here, seeing Lam Thu's goofy demeanor, Tan Chan Chan did not really believe her friend. Let me tell you a bit more about this beauty. Besides being the #1 school belle, she was also a 1-star silver rank ice type awakened. Her academic performance was consistently #1 in the entire city, never dropping rank. She was a true academic prodigy. Seeing Tan Chan Chan's skepticism, Trinman quickly spoke up to defend Lam Thu. I saw it with my own eyes. Little bunny bro easily took care of a 2-star bronze rank lightning type awakened. Oh, so his opponent was just a 2-star bronze? Tan Chan Chan seemed disappointed. But Bunny Bro is the same rank and he completely crushed the guy. His power is clearly way higher than 2-star, Trin Man insisted. Lam Thu also wanted to show off a bit in front of his goddess, so he was ready to strike a pose and show her a few basic moves. However, Tan Chan Chan seemed to have lost all interest in him. After waiting for Trin Man to return the jacket, she wanted to leave immediately. Lam Thu wasn't about to let a beauty just disappear like that. After all, he hadn't even gotten her name or contact info yet. So he quickly called out to stop her. Hey, pretty lady, what's the rush? Why don't we find a quiet place to discuss and exchange knowledge? Discuss? Are you sure? Originally, Lam Thu was just trying to flirt and keep her from leaving, but Tan Chan Chan looked extremely conflicted because she interpreted his words, discuss and exchange knowledge, as a challenge, and she had never refused a single challenge. It's just that Lam Thu's power was only 2-star bronze, while she was a 1-star silver. The power gap was quite large, so instead of a martial duel, Tan Chan Chan suggested they compete intellectually on next week's citywide exam. The bet Tan Chan Chan proposed was that if Lam Thu could win, she would take back all the disdainful things she'd said about him. Furthermore, Lam Thu could make any one request of Tan Chan Chan. She offered the terms so casually, because she believed there was absolutely no way Lam Thu could beat her. Totally okay. I'll listen to whatever my goddess says, Lam Thu replied, ignoring Chan Chan. Hearing him call her Chan Chan so intimately when they had just met, the beautiful Tan was utterly disgusted. Trin Man saw this, and quickly tried to warn Lam Thu that Tan Chan Chan was the top student in the entire city, but before she could finish, Tan Chan Chan dragged her away. And even if she had finished her sentence, the stubborn Lam Thu wouldn't have backed down. If he won, he could make any request of his goddess. How could he possibly pass up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? After the two of them left, Lam Thu received a text message. It was an urgent order from a customer, but the important thing was, the order request read, I'm about to get beaten up. Help. Come save me at the Phoenix Internet Cafe. Price is no object. Bring as many people as you can. SOS. In that whole long request, Lam Thu only focused on 4 words. Price is no object. Without a second thought, he started his car and sped off. My big spender client, I'm on my way. The person who placed that urgent order was Truong Tom, a 9-star bronze rank healer type awakened. At that moment, he had been dragged into an alley next to the Phoenix Internet Cafe by 2 big guys and was getting beaten. Truong Tom was alone, while his opponents were both vicious and numerous. So, all he could do was cover his head and repeatedly beg for mercy, but his opponents showed no signs of stopping. That is, until Lam Thu, armed with a baseball bat, appeared in the alley. Hey, he shouted. What you're doing isn't cool. What century is this? Still bullying people like this? Don't you know you'll get what's coming to you for this, huh? His tone was aggressive, but his face clearly had the word arrogant written all over it. Seeing this, the thugs immediately let go of Truong Tom and turned their attention to Lam Thu. He could tell at a glance that these were not thugs to be trifled with. But before coming here, Lam Thu had already arranged for backup. He snapped his fingers, and a group of more than 10 delivery drivers appeared, each one looking fierce. We're here. Just point out who you want us to rough up. Who the hell dares to flex in our territory? Tired of living, are you? I was wondering who it could be. Turns out it's just 2 guys. Not even enough to fill the gaps between our teeth. Each of them could spit a few times, and it would be enough to drown those 2 thugs, let alone actually fighting. And they also knew they couldn't win against such a large group. Therefore, of the 36 stratagems, fleeing is the best. Seeing this, Truong 3 was so happy he could cry. He immediately rushed forward to hug Lam Thu's thigh. Boo-hoo. I never thought ordering emergency fast food would lead me to the boss of this territory. As he spoke, he turned towards the two thugs who were running for their lives and deliberately shouted loudly to intimidate them. "Don't you ever let me see your faces again! Otherwise, I'll call my big bro to beat you up every time I see you." Lam Thu had inexplicably become Truong Three's big bro and had all his tears and snot wiped on him, so he was a bit disgusted. But after seeing Truong Three take out his phone and transfer him a full 30,000 RMB for the job, he no longer found the guy annoying. 30,000 RMB, what a huge number that was to Lam Thu. Earlier, when he called for help, he promised to pay each person 100 RMB. In total, he called several dozen people, which only cost a few thousand. The remaining money was enough for his university tuition. "My name is Truong Three, a student at No. 1 High School. From now on, you are my big bro. If big bro tells me to go east, I will absolutely not dare to go west." Truong Three, having been saved by Lam Thu, immediately elevated him to the status of a god. And Lam Thu, who was in need of money, was suddenly blessed by the heavens with a filthy rich underling. Only a fool would refuse. Therefore, he also happily became sworn brothers with him. All right, little bro, tell me. How did you end up provoking those thugs?" Speaking of this, Truong Three was a bit embarrassed. The reason was that when playing a game, he pretended to be a girl to marry another player, even using a voice changer. Today, the other person insisted on meeting up. Truong Three intended to meet once to clarify the situation and apologize to him. He didn't expect the guy to bring a lackey with him. As a result, before he could even apologize, he was beaten to a pulp. It's a good thing Lin Thu arrived when he did. He had no idea what to say in this situation. He could only manage a polite laugh and move on. The mission to rescue Zhang San was complete, so he said goodbye to continue with his other deliveries. Zhang San even wanted to use his supercar to give Lin Thu a ride, but of course, he refused. On the way back, Lin Thu was ecstatic. His luck today wasn't bad at all. He'd met the goddess Chin Chan Chan and pocketed over 20,000 RMB for himself. He didn't have to worry too much about money for the time being. He decided to reward himself with a day off from his part-time job, and instead went home to do some research on the upcoming competition. That was the only way he'd have a chance to win over the goddess. That night, Lin Thu stayed up all night reading. He had never been this serious about studying before. So the next morning, Lin Thu felt as if all his strength had been drained. He could barely open his eyes, but today the teacher was going to go over the key points for the exam, so he forced himself to stay awake. Since it was a new day, Lin Thu also remembered to call out Robot 9527 for a new skill lottery, but he happened to call it while it was sleeping, so Lin Thu got an earful. "What the hell, a system can sleep too?" Lin Thu muttered to himself. Wanting to get it over with quickly so it could go back to sleep, Robot 9527 immediately started the draw, and fortune smiled upon Lin Thu once again. The skill he received today was photographic memory. This skill could help him memorize everything he'd ever seen, even with just one glance. Although it wasn't very useful in combat, for someone like Lin Thu who was preparing for an exam, it was the most perfect ace up his sleeve. Lin Thu was so happy he became wide awake, continuously flipping through his books, one page after another. All the physics formulas were instantly imprinted in his mind, making him grin from ear to ear. Whether it was images, text, or even punctuation marks, Lin Thu could remember it all with just a single glance. With this skill, he would never have to study as hard as last night again. The head teacher had noticed Lin Thu's unusual behavior in class, so without a word, he walked straight down and slammed his hand on the desk, scaring the daylights out of him. "Lin Thu!" he yelled. "Yes?" Lin Thu jumped, his heart pounding so hard he almost leapt to his feet. "You've got some nerve, huh? Daring to read a physics book during literature class, and what the hell are you grinning like an idiot for?" Lin Thu felt like the head teacher's voice was going to rupture his eardrums. But that wasn't enough to ruin his good mood. After all, this skill was just too damn awesome. Even if the head teacher scolded him a little more, he'd still be happy. "With your current grades, you still have the nerve to smile?" He continued to yell in his face. "Have you forgotten that if you don't get into the top 10 on the citywide exam next week, you won't be qualified to participate in the special abilities competition?" "Actually, I did forget. Because it's so simple, I couldn't remember it," Lin Thu replied, scratching his head. His nonchalant attitude made the head teacher's blood boil. The word simple coming from any other student would have been fine. But coming from Lin Thu's mouth, it was just mocking. This was the same kid who used to chew on his pen and fall asleep a few minutes into every literature exam. Not to mention for this upcoming exam, the amount of literature that needed to be memorized was historically unprecedented. The teacher kept nagging in his ear, and Lin Thu started to get annoyed. Earlier, the teacher had given each student a literature textbook. All the required sections were noted inside. So Lin Thu handed the book to the head teacher and told him he could ask him any question from it. He had only skimmed through it once earlier, but because of that divine skill, the entire content of the book was already in his head. The teacher, of course, just thought he was joking. So he continued to advise Lin Thu to give up on the special abilities competition as soon as possible. because with his bunny transformation ability, if he competed, he would just become a laughingstock for everyone, and you'd embarrass the school. Don't underestimate me. Stop wasting your breath and just ask the question. Lin Thu waved his hand impatiently. Seeing how determined he was, the teacher had no choice but to go along with it. Fine. Let's try a simple one first, then. What's the second half of the line, Jie Fei Xian Yao Yu? That's it? It's Bao Ming Yuaneng Chang Zhong, sir. The teacher was completely stunned. Normally, Lin Thu couldn't even remember half a line of poetry. To be able to recite it so fluently today. Are you on something? I'll assume you just got lucky. All right, then. The next question. The teacher was fired up, wanting to one-up him, but he had barely uttered the word chin when Lin Thu cut him off. Stop, you don't need to say any more. Qin ren bu xia chi ai, neng hao ren I ji. Of all the classical texts we have to memorize, only this one starts with the word chin. The teacher was dealt a heavy blow, and the other students were wide-eyed with astonishment. In a last-ditch effort, the head teacher even tested Lin Thu on a classical text that wasn't part of the required reading. Unfortunately, he had read it the night before, so he could still recite it fluently. Let's stop here. Classmates, I'll see you all at the Special Abilities competition. In a great mood, Lin Thu left the classroom, leaving behind the completely knocked-out teacher, who was so furious he could have coughed up blood. The citywide proficiency test took place very soon after, and not long after, the scores were publicly posted. The students of number 18 high school were completely shocked to find that this time, their school had produced the top scorer in the entire city. Moreover, the one who had succeeded, kicking the goddess Qin Chan Chan out of the number 1 spot, was the school's weakest awakened Lin Chu. Li Nan stared at the notice board for a long time, as if he couldn't believe his eyes when he saw Lin Chu. "Number 1? How is that possible?" he roared. "Well, life is unpredictable. Ups and downs are perfectly normal." Standing nearby, Lin Chu casually cleaned his ear and said nonchalantly, "It's not surprising with that new ability I just got. It had successfully helped him reach first place and made Li Nan so mad he could faint. But no matter how mad he was, Lin Qiu didn't care. The deal with his homeroom teacher was complete. He was qualified to participate in the next exam. Now it was time for him to focus on studying his opponents in the upcoming Awakened Ability exam. 10 days later, the exam for Awakened with Abilities officially began. The scene was incredibly lively, as everyone was eager to witness the newly emerging young talents. Attending this competition, just as the head teacher had said, were all big shots, including representatives from Military District 30 and the principals of the nation's top universities, along with top global corporations. After they entered the stands, the Awakened from 13 high schools who came to compete and the school representatives, who achieved the best results in the third knowledge test, were also invited onto the field. Today, Qin Chan Chan's mood was not good, to say the least. It was terrible, and everyone could see it. It was understandable. She had always been the city's top student, but this time her number 1 spot had been stolen. And by a pathetically weak little white rabbit, no less. Lin Qiu entered the competition arena and immediately saw Qin Chanchan. He took the initiative to greet her, but the beauty's attitude was extremely hostile. Qin Chanchan thought Lin Qiu was here to collect on their bet. This made her even more annoyed. "Fine, according to our bet, you won. Whatever you want, just say it." Lin Qiu chuckled and replied, "I was wondering what was bothering the great beauty, Chen. If it's about the bet, I was just kidding back then. Don't take it to heart. How about you treat me to a meal? If not, I can treat you." Seeing Lin Qiu's relaxed demeanor, Qin Chanchan felt even more embarrassed. She had always been arrogant, looking down on everyone, yet now she had to humble herself. "I'm sorry for calling you weak before." Qin Chanchan's attitude was clearly reluctant and embarrassed, but in Lin Qiu's eyes, it transformed into the shy, bashful look of a girl in love. 100 points for cuteness. Before he could even reply to Qin Chanchan, the two of them were caught on the competition's live camera. A reporter popped out of nowhere, and his teasing tone made the beautiful Qin blush even harder. Well, isn't this the champion and runner-up of the third citywide exam? I didn't expect to see you two together." Lin Qiu hadn't even reacted yet, but Qin Chanchan's hair was standing on end from embarrassment. "What do you mean, together? We're not! Absolutely not!" Seeing the goddess's fierce denial, the event MC didn't tease her further. Instead, he turned his attention to Lin Qiu, speaking in an aggressive tone. "I hear you, the champion, are a beast-type awakened. And a weak little white rabbit at that, to still come and compete? Your bravery is truly commendable." Lin Qiu knew the man was mocking him, but he was already used to these kinds of comments. So, instead of getting angry, he replied loudly and clearly, "Not only did I dare to come, but this time, yours truly is going to win the championship." The moment Lin Qiu said this, the audience below roared with laughter. Just because he was the champion of the knowledge test didn't mean he would become the champion of the ability competition. They all thought Lin Qiu must have studied so hard he'd become an idiot. That's why he'd dare to say such nonsense. Even the event MC was frozen stiff. It seemed he never thought the word champion would come out of the mouth of such a pathetically weak little white rabbit. Lin Chu ignored their reactions, snatched the microphone from the MC's hand, and continued to declare boldly to the live camera. I don't have much to say to everyone, just one thing. I am number one. You'd better pray for your favorite contestants. Hope they don't run into me. As he spoke, Lin Chu even raised his middle finger. This gesture was a clear challenge to the entire stadium, and his audacious attitude made the MC immediately snatch the microphone back to stop him from spouting more nonsense. But everyone had clearly heard what Lin Chu said. The audience in the stands and the other contestants all felt insulted. How dare a low-level beast-type awakened like Lin Chu be so arrogant and look down on them? Despite their furious curses, Lin Chu played deaf. They'd see his true strength once he got on the stage. To diffuse this tense atmosphere, the MC quickly had to explain the competition rules. This competition would operate in a single elimination format. Contestants would be drawn for one-on-one matches in the arena. The winner advances. The loser is eliminated immediately. This time, a total of 257 contestants are participating. The organizers have sent the competition numbers to the contestants' phones, and because there's an odd number of participants, one contestant will be randomly selected to get a bye into the next round. The drawing process happened live in front of everyone, and the lucky number was 66, and it just had to be Lin Chu. Those who hated him now had another reason to curse him. They claimed that Lin Chu was not only weak, but also lucky. Lin Chu continued to play deaf and dumb. If the heavens wanted him to save his strength for the later rounds, he would respectfully obey. Each round of matches would take place in 4 arenas, A, B, C, and D. Lin Chu only managed to hear the announcement that Chin Chan was competing at the first round, but before he could even see which arena she was in, he heard the audience roar. A one-shot kill had just happened. Immediately after, the MC announced that Chin Chan had won her first match. The other awakened weren't too surprised, because Chin Chan had long been known as a super rookie among the new generation of awakened. As for Lin Chu, this was the first time he'd seen the goddess's ability with his own eyes. He couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. In fact, Chin Chan's successful debut put some pressure on Lin Chu. He didn't want to be inferior to the goddess, so he began to bury himself in studying his next opponents. Only by doing so could he be sure to defeat them and become a man worthy of the goddess. 10 minutes later, Lin Chu really couldn't keep it up anymore. The flashy, useless skills of the other contestants were so boring they were putting him to sleep. To cure this drowsiness, Lam Thu had no choice but to call out Robot 9527 to get to work. Although it was his personal system, Lam Thu felt that it had been getting lazier and lazier recently, not even bothering to talk to him, its host. Robot 9527 was too lazy to talk and went straight to the skill drawing process. For the past few days, while he was at home studying for exams, the system had only been giving Lam Thu low-level farming skills. It got to the point where he felt this crappy system was all it was good for. But today, at the competition venue, it drew an S-rank skill for Lam Thu, moving him to tears. Today's skill was called Body Fortification, and its function was just as the name implied. Lam Thu was incredibly eager and immediately started the fortification process. As the process began, Lam Thu once again entered the digital space opened by the system. Here, all the muscles in his body were reconstructed, becoming much stronger. The effectiveness of this skill astonished Lam Thu himself, as it far exceeded his expectations. With a physique like this, the body of a brawny man, Lam Thu felt that even the goddess Chin Chan herself would fall for him. In the next round of the competition, they once again drew for a lucky contestant to get a bye, because several people had dropped out during the first round. So, the number of people who advanced was still an odd number, and unbelievably, this time, they once again drew Lam Thu's number 66. His luck didn't stop there either, because on the second day of the competition, Lam Thu's name was still called when they drew for the lucky bye. On the third day, he still didn't have to compete, advancing straight to the top 35 without breaking a sweat. It got to the point where the competition's MC had to come over for a special interview to ask Lam Thu how he felt about getting consecutive buys. Hey, say no more. I didn't want this to happen either. To be honest, my greatsword is just itching to get on stage. Hearing Lam Thu say this, the contestants below who had to fight tooth and nail for their spots became even more frustrated, especially Li Nan. They began to suspect that the competition was rigged for Lam Thu. That's why he didn't have to fight in the elimination rounds and went straight to the top 35. And if he got another bye this time, they would surely die from anger. After a moment of thought, Li Nan, burning with rage, snatched the microphone from the MC's hand. He expressed his extreme frustration, saying that while he was risking his life to compete, Lam Thu's time at the arena was like a walk in the park. We've fought through so many matches to get to this position. But this chicken hasn't even fought a single match, yet he gets to stand on the same level as us. I won't accept it. To stop Lam Thu from getting another bye, I will voluntarily withdraw from this competition. Li Nan's speech made the audience and the MC on site gasp in astonishment. They never expected a contestant who had come this far would voluntarily give up their spot just to force Lam Thu into the ring. Everyone thought his luck had finally run out. This time, there was no escaping the fight. But they had no idea that Lam Thu himself was incredibly grateful to Li Nan for giving him a chance to get on stage and perform. Lam Thu's opponent in his first match was contestant number 88, named Lei Dian, an 8-star bronze rank lightning element awakened. It seemed he was quite formidable, because when he stepped onto the stage, the entire audience felt that this time, Lam Thu would be instantly one-shot by Lei Dian. Lei Dian himself wasn't a humble person either. The proof was that as soon as he got on stage, he made a throat-slitting gesture to warn Lam Thu. Faced with his opponent's hostile attitude, Lam Thu could only let out a long sigh. As a little white rabbit who had also received 3 consecutive byes, it was understandable that he would be targeted. "Lam Thu, right?" Lei Dian spoke, his tone full of arrogance. "You've used up all your luck. Facing me in your very first match? You're just horribly unlucky. You won't even have a chance to show off after the match starts because I'll defeat you in an instant." Lam Thu casually went, "Oh," which made Loi Dian's blood boil. He quickly changed his focus, wanting to slowly wear him down and make him fail in utter humiliation. Lam Thu just said "oh" again, clearly not caring much. This reaction drove Loi Dian even more insane. He immediately launched his first attack, a punch. It carried his full power, surging with lightning, and shot straight toward Lam Thu. If an ordinary person were hit by this move, they'd either die from the pain or be electrocuted to death. But Lam Thu managed to dodge it with ease. Watching that full-power attack hit nothing but the ground, he suddenly felt a bit sorry for Lei Dian. That was way too much time spent charging up. Were your previous opponent's heads made of clay? Otherwise, how could you have possibly hit them? Lei Dian seemed shocked that his opponent could dodge his attack. He was also embarrassed and enraged by the blunt criticism. He launched another wave of lightning strikes, but Lam Thu continued to rely on his swift reflexes to dodge. Lei Dian was overexerting himself, beads of sweat forming on his forehead, yet all of his attacks missed their mark. This pushed his anger to its peak. "I can't believe a rabbit like you is so good at running. You asked for this!" Lam Thu saw his opponent's entire right arm begin to glow. Clearly, Lei Dian was concentrating his power, preparing to unleash a full-power strike. It was true that lightning element skills had extremely high damage, several times higher than skills of the same rank from other elements. The last time Lam Thu was hit by that 2-star bronze rank driver, the pain was excruciating, and Lei Dian was an 8-star bronze rank. If he got hit by this move, he couldn't even imagine the consequences, because this time his opponent would definitely launch a wide-area attack. So, Lam Thu decided not to keep dodging. In that case, I just need to finish him before he can even launch his attack. Thinking this, he used his greatest strength, speed, to rush forward and unleash a simple rabbit fist. Loi Dian was so stunned by Lam Thu's wind-like speed that he froze. At that moment, he couldn't dodge. He just thought that Lam Thu, the rabbit type, was fast but weak, so he should be able to block this blow. He never expected that Lam Thu had been strengthening himself since the first day of the competition. His muscles alone were now strong enough to choke Loi Dian to death. How could he possibly block his punch? With a single move from Lam Thu, Loi Dian was sent flying off the stage. Even Lam Thu himself hadn't realized that the body-strengthening skill from before had increased his power by so much. Regardless, Lam Thu had officially won his first match. As for the audience's expression right now, completely stunned would be the only way to describe it. They couldn't believe Lam Thu was so strong that he sent Loi Dian flying with just a single purely physical punch. Many people quickly switched sides to cheer for him. And because of this match, the university leaders started to take notice of Lam Thu. Luke Tron, the vice principal of Linvu University's M-City campus, was eager to take Lam Thu under his wing, because during the fight just now, he had observed very carefully and realized that the kid didn't use any spiritual power at all. Quang Van, the vice principal of Linvu University's J-City campus, felt his old friend was talking nonsense, because the power of that punch was at least equal to the strength of an 8-star bronze awakened. But Lam Thu was just a measly 2-star bronze awakened. On the next day of the competition, Lam Thu's first opponent was contestant number 12, named Tam Kui. He was also a beast transformation type awakened like Lam Thu, but he was at the 9-star bronze level, and his beast form was a wolf. A wolf versus a rabbit. The crowd was incredibly excited, full of anticipation. Lam Thu also felt that his opponent's aura was intense and extremely intimidating. He was still contemplating whether he should transform or not, when Tam Kui suddenly knelt before him and surrendered. Don't hit me, I give up!" Lam Thu had no idea what was happening. Perhaps Tam Kui had also realized yesterday that he beat Loi Dian using only physical strength, not spiritual power, so he knew he couldn't win. But anyway, saving energy for any match was a good thing. So Lam Thu was quite happy to move on to the next match. But the next match followed the exact same script. Lam Thu hadn't even had a chance to make a move before his opponent forfeited. Maybe because his opponent was a girl and was afraid of getting her face smashed in, she decided to surrender preemptively. And yet, even in the match after that, he still didn't get to make a move. Because not only did his opponent surrender right at the start, but he also brought a pen and paper to ask for Lam Thu's autograph. He was starting to get fed up. Why is it so damn hard just to find an opponent? I really just want to have a proper fight. And just like that, without breaking a sweat, Lam Thu won several matches in a row, advancing straight to the top 8 with unbelievable ease. Before the final day of the competition, the top 8 contestants were allowed to rest for a day. And on that day, Tan Chan Chan took the initiative to find Lam Thu. With the goddess herself seeking him out, a wicked grin slowly spread across his face. Of course, Tan Chan Chan didn't come just to chit-chat. She said she was planning to form an exploration team during the summer break, a bronze-level Spirit Ruins team. And if Lam Thu was interested, he could join her. Spirit Ruins were like mystic realms that had appeared all over the world after the resurgence of spiritual energy. They were filled with rare treasures, but also many dangerous spirit beasts. However, the spirit beasts themselves were also treasures, not just for their valuable hides. Some spirit beasts also contained spirit cores, which were very beneficial for cultivation. Therefore, awakened ones often formed teams to venture into these spirit ruins to make a fortune. The place Tan Chan Chan invited Lam Thu to. Chur was a bronze-level spirit ruins, perfectly suited for his current abilities. A rare treasure hunt, and a personal invitation from the goddess herself. Isn't this basically a date? How could Lam Thu possibly refuse? He was still fantasizing about some romantic time for just the two of them when Tan Chan Chan spoke again, shattering that illusion. Besides you, there are 6 other teammates, so you don't need to worry about safety. Lam Thu was on the verge of tears. He just wanted some private time with his goddess. Where did all these third wheels come from? In the end, Lam Thu still agreed, but he wanted to try and negotiate with Tan Chan Chan about not inviting anyone else. However, the beautiful Miss Tan left as quickly as she came, like a gust of wind, because tomorrow was the final day of the competition. She didn't want to waste any time and had no intention of losing to Lam Thu ever again. The next day, the stands were packed with people who had come to watch the matches. Half of them were Lam Thu's new fans who had jumped on the bandwagon. The other half remained his die-hard haters, hoping that the goddess Tan could quickly stomp that rabbit under her foot. Among the final top 8. As fate would have it, Lam Thu and Tan Chan Chan didn't face each other in any of the matches. Thus, they each defeated 3 other opponents and finally met in the championship match. As they both stepped onto the stage, Lam Thu could see the blazing, fighting spirit in the eyes of the goddess Tan. It seemed she was absolutely determined not to lose today. Sure enough, as soon as the MC announced the final match, Tan Chan Chan aggressively pointed her finger straight at Lam Thu's face and declared, "This time, I will absolutely not let you take the champion's title." This fearsome demeanor was completely different from when she invited him to join her team yesterday. The competitive Tan Chan Chan did not want to lose. As for Lam Thu, he wasn't keen on competing with his crush either, but that was only when he first got here. He had foolishly flipped off the entire audience, declaring that he would become the champion. If he couldn't make that happen now, he wouldn't know which hole to crawl into. So, even though he was facing his goddess, his crush, Lam Thu was determined not to hold back at all. Once the 2 contestants were ready, the MC announced the official start of the final match. Tan Chan Chan was already in a fighting stance, ready to strike first, but not without taunting her opponent a little. "Lam Thu, my ability reached silver rank years ago, and I already have a Taekwondo black belt. Whether it's spiritual energy or physical strength, I'm not weaker than you in any way." "Is that so? If that's the case, then I'd better be extra careful." Lam Thu didn't seem the least bit intimidated. In fact, he was even more excited. Unlike the previous rounds, this time he took the initiative to attack first, wanting to strike to gain the upper hand. But a goddess is a goddess for a reason. Tan Chan Chan easily dodged the blow. She even gracefully circled behind Lam Thu and kicked him. Although the blow didn't take Lam Thu down, it sent him stumbling and falling clumsily. Turns out Tan Chan Chan wasn't lying at all. She looked slender, but her strength was anything but weak. If it weren't for his body enhancement skill, which increased his muscle mass and strength, that single kick from the beautiful Miss Tan would have been enough to defeat him. However, the match had only just begun, and that kick from his crush had truly activated Lam Thu's fighting spirit. He got back on his feet and lunged at Tan Chan Chan once again. This time, Lam Thu used the rabbit fist style. He threw one move after another, but Tan Chan Chan blocked them all. She even looked completely at ease doing it. Once again, Lam Thu was outmaneuvered as his opponent slipped behind him. He took a direct elbow from Tan Chan Chan to his right shoulder. Lam Thu immediately collapsed to the ground. He felt as if his shoulder blade had shattered from that last hit. Meanwhile, Tan Chan Chan stood over him, looking arrogant, and began to taunt him. "Give up, Lam Thu! Your physical condition isn't bad at all. But your skills are truly awful." Lam Thu lay flat on the ground, clearly unwilling to accept this. Getting beaten black and blue by the beautiful Miss Tan like this was just too humiliating. Besides, she hadn't even used her ice-type ability once from the very beginning. Tan Chan Chan was right. If this kept up, all his bones would be broken soon enough. Lam Thu staggered to his feet, then suddenly had an idea. He quickly raised his hands above his head, making an X sign to call for a brief timeout, then jumped off the stage. Lam Thu saw a mop nearby, grabbed its handle, and asked the MC, I'd like to ask, are weapons allowed in the match?" The MC was momentarily stunned. Although there had never been a rule explicitly forbidding contestants from using weapons, no contestant had ever resorted to such a shameless method. To win, he wanted to advise Lam Thu against it. It would only bring him shame. But Tan Chan Chan nonchalantly agreed to the absurd request. In fact, she felt that Lam Thu using a mop handle to fight her was an insult to her. Since that was the case, Tan Chan Chan decided to be a little more ruthless, just to shatter his pride and spirit. "Can we start yet?" Tan Chan Chan asked impatiently. "Bring it on!" Lam Thu held out the mop in his hand, ready for battle, looking utterly ridiculous. "This is called the mop spear, forged from the hands of a janitor. It weighs 1.2 kilograms. I am ready to fight you." His posture only annoyed Tan Chan Chan more. His fighting skills were like a kitten's scratch, yet he held a mop handle as if he were a general wielding a spear on the battlefield. This was a true insult to her. Lam Thu swung his spear, looked at Chan Chan, and teased, "Watch this! Don't you go crying if you lose." Chan Chan sensed that his attitude was completely different. No, it wasn't right. Lam Thu felt like a different person after picking up the spear, like a seasoned general on the battlefield without a single opening. Quick as a flash, Lam Thu leaped forward to attack Chan Chan, forcing her back several steps. "If you're not going to attack, then I'll go first." The spear in Lam Thu's hand aimed straight for her face, but then it suddenly changed direction, heading for Chan Chan's slender waist, forcing her to dodge hastily. His hands gripped the spear tightly. Lam Thu's eyes were full of mischief, a foxy smirk playing on his lips. He suddenly swung it at her butt, making her yelp, "Ayah!" But inwardly she couldn't help but admire. His spearmanship is surprisingly good. Flushed with anger and embarrassment, she cursed, "Shameless! I'll kill you!" Lam Thu scratched his head and tried to explain, that was just a reflex. I didn't mean to, I couldn't stop it. Ice arrow! A beginner-level skill. Chan Chan furiously ordered Lam Thu to shut up, her hands never stopping their powerful casting. Lam Thu, a little panicked, knew she was truly angry and tried to calm her down. "Just let me explain." Even as he spoke, he was desperately dodging Chan Chan's attacks. Showing no mercy, she kept up her assault with her water-based ice spirit technique. "You're forcing my hand." Lam Thu used all his strength to defend against her spell casting, muttering, "So cold." His body felt like it was freezing solid. He was inwardly amazed at how fast Chan Chan could cast her spells. Ice pillars began to encircle Lam Thu. He calculated to himself that if he didn't transform, he could only stall for time against the onslaught of ice blocks. Lam Thu was gradually being put on the defensive as the thick ice froze him solid. Chan Chan watched in silence, now confident that she had won. She immediately told the MC to call an ambulance, saying the results could be announced now. Seeing no sign of Lam Thu, the MC also thought it was over and followed her instructions. "The winner is... huh?" However, before he could finish his sentence, a figure casually appeared from within the melting ice. Amidst the swirling smoke, Lam Thu flashed a roguish grin. "It's rare to get a chance to be alone with you. Don't be in such a rush." He gripped his spear tightly, aiming it at his opponent. His rabbit ears stood on end as he joked, "Hey, your big brother rabbit is here." This time it was Chan Chun who was taken by surprise. She quickly summoned her ice armor to defend herself. "So fast!" Lam Thu rushed forward like a gale of wind, giving her no time to react. Chun Chun swiftly used her ice armor to block the surprise attack from his spear. "Damn it! I can't believe Lam Thu is strong enough to shatter my ice armor after transforming. My arm is almost numb." The more she thought about it, the more she couldn't accept it, and tears began to well up in her eyes. "Am I going to drop to second place again? I refuse to accept this," she thought, feeling overwhelmed. "I won't accept this!" Still fighting back with all her might, Chun Chun yelled, "Breakthrough! Silver tier! Second stage!" A powerful and majestic ice construct formed. Lam Thu was a bit alarmed, fearing, is this a mid-battle breakthrough? If she makes a mistake right now, she could suffer from cultivation deviation. Seeing Chan Chan's burning fighting spirit, Lam Thu turned to the MC and shouted, "Referee, pause the match! Someone is cheating!" He acted all mysterious and whispered to the MC, "A mid-battle breakthrough and you're not calling that cheating?" The MC looked at him helplessly and said, "It's you again, calling for a timeout. This isn't cheating, it's a breakthrough." "You idiot," he patiently explained in detail. "The biggest case of cheating in this entire ability competition is you. Got it? Now stop talking." Chan-Chun looked at him, speechless. She thought to herself, "I can't believe he didn't take advantage of my breakthrough to attack me." For some reason, however, she suddenly gave a gentle smile. She silently praised him. "This rabbit is actually kinda cute." She clenched her fist, her fighting spirit restored, and boldly challenged Lum Thu. "Stop acting like a clown, let's go, one more round." Lum Thu gripped his spear firmly, getting into a ready stance to accept the challenge. "Huh? All right, another round it is." Chan-Chun pointed straight at him, launching a preemptive strike. "Be careful, I'm a lot stronger now than I was before." Ice formed with every step she took. Lum Tu used his spear to advance, suddenly launching himself high into the air. His pupils contracted as he thought, her movements are still so agile, so this is a breakthrough? Her casting speed and attack power have increased this much. His spear slammed into the ground, shattering the platform. Sharp ice pillars assaulted him relentlessly, forcing Lum Thu to let out a small cry. "Ah!" Chan-Chun immediately cast a spell, and the pillars wrapped powerfully around her. She opened her eyes, her gaze piercing as she swung her arm forcefully. Lum Thu was hit by multiple attacks in a row and couldn't help but worry, "Oh crap, this is bad for real this time." He used both his bare hands to block the incoming barrage of ice shards. The attack landed. "Ugh!" he cried out in pain. Looking at his own injured arm, frozen solid, Lum Thu gritted his teeth in annoyance. "My arm is so frozen I can't feel it anymore. Even though my physical constitution is at Bronze 9-star, my spirit power level is only at Bronze 3-star. I just can't endure these continuous attacks." He bit down hard, his face pale from the pain. "This can't go on, I'll have to risk it all." After that, Lum Thu shot forward like a rocket. Chan-Chun was shocked, her eyes wide. "I underestimated you. I never expected this kind of outburst." Chan-Chun leaned back to dodge Lum Thu's explosive burst, prompting him to react quickly. "I can't let her continue attacking!" He suddenly grabbed her tightly from behind, causing Chan-Chun to freeze up. She struggled to break free from Lum Thu. "You creep! What do you think you're doing? Let go!" He stubbornly held on tighter, replying, "I'm not letting go." Then all of a sudden, Lum Thu felt his hand touching something soft and plump, like a juicy peach. Chan-Chun turned bright red with embarrassment because of where his hand was placed. Her shame turned to anger, and she started flailing her arms and legs wildly. She screamed, "You bastard, let me go now!" making it hard for Lum Thu to hold on. He thought helplessly, "She's so strong, if she keeps struggling, we'll both—" Lum Thu saw that Chan-Chun was about to fall. He hurriedly caught her, shouting, "Hey! Watch out!" Lum Thu quickly pulled her into his arms, taking the fall himself and hitting the ground painfully. Chan-Chun saw the wound on his arm and, raising an eyebrow, gently scolded him, "Hey, you're bleeding. Hurry up and let go." But in her heart, she was deeply moved. "He still protected me just now." Lum Thu's face was injured, but he still used all his strength to hold her, shouting, "I won't let go even if you beat me to death, unless you admit defeat." Chan-Chun wasn't one to back down, shouting, "Don't force my hand. Let go. I'll surrender if you let go." Lum Thu held her even tighter, threatening, "No, you don't force my hand. I have a special move. A cornered rabbit will bite. If you don't surrender, I'll really do it." Chan-Chun was so shocked her eyes widened and she stammered, "Bite? This is an ability competition and you're going to bite someone?" Lum Thu shamelessly declared, "Who cares what kind of competition it is? I just want to win." Chan-Chun blushed, looked at him, and whispered, "You—" She sighed, a look of helplessness clear on her beautiful face. To the judge's utter shock, Chan-Chun raised her hand and shouted, "I forfeit!" Just then, Lum Thu went limp and fainted. Seeing him collapse to the ground, Chan-Chun screamed, "Lum Thu!" His vision blurred, but he could still see Chan-Chun's worried face as she kept asking, "Lum Thu, are you okay?" As his vision faded, he could only hear sobs of Lum Thu. A pink scene appeared, and his mind grew hazy. Who's calling me? He dreamily saw a sweet, gentle Chan-Chun pouting at him. "You're so mean! How could you treat me like that?" Lum Thu reached his claws towards her two peaches, making Chan-Chun blush. She wondered to herself, "What's happening to me?" Embarrassed, Chan-Chun covered her chest and yelled, "You pervert! Stay away from me!" Lum Thu transformed into a rabbit and thought in surprise, "What the hell? Why did I turn into this?" Lum Thu, his head covered in bandages and drenched in a cold sweat, jolted awake. He couldn't help but cry out in panic. "Host, you're awake!" the system's voice announced. Lum Thu glared resentfully. "Can't you just let it go? To think I even dreamed about—" The system spoke again. "Congratulations, host. You have drawn an SSS-Rank enhancement skill. The intelligence server has selected an optimal enhancement. Target: Beastification, Great White Rabbit. Success: Evolved into—" Rogue Rabbit. The system displayed a notification. Rogue Rabbit. Skill summary. Don't mess with a rabbit, especially when he's a rogue rabbit. Lam Thu's jaw dropped and his eyes widened in anger. So you're the one behind this? The system continued nonchalantly. Because the host was unconscious yesterday and was about to miss the card draw opportunity. Lam Thu rubbed his head, his finger hovering over the selection as he muttered. Missing one draw is no big deal. Besides, I've only been getting useless E-rank skills lately. Whatever, I'm awake now anyway. I'll just do today's draw now, to stop you from doing it again. The system announced, Congratulations, host. You have received the SSS-Rank skill, Spatial System Awakening. Lam Thu thought in disbelief. Another SSS-Rank skill? It's my lucky day. A pink light shone as the system used its hands to knead the beastification and space skills together. Scan complete, it announced. Host already possesses the beastification skill. This is the perfect opportunity for fusion. Commencing skill fusion now. Lam Thu panicked, his eyes wide. He quickly raised his hand to stop it. Fuse what? What are you trying to do? Are you going to make another decision for me again? The system transferred the space skill to him and replied, Fusion successful. Congratulations, host. The rogue rabbit has successfully evolved. Successfully evolved into Doraemon? Lam Thu was stunned. The system screen displayed a notification. Doraemon. Skill summary. The evolved version of the rogue rabbit fused with a space system ability. It possesses the combined advantages of both the space and beast systems. Only Doraemon can help you realize your dreams. Lam Thu saw a familiar pouch appear on his stomach and quietly wondered, 9,527? What does this thing do? The system immediately replied, This is a storage pouch. Inside is an empty dimensional space. You can put things you need inside it. Lam Thu gave a thumbs up in praise. Isn't this basically a pocket dimension storage bag? So cool! The system announced. Besides the dimensional space, the host has also awakened a new skill, the Anywhere Door. The system displayed an explanation. The Anywhere Door can open a door beside you. It can then teleport the host to any location within 5 meters. Lam Thu sat on his bed, astonished, as he saw the system emit a light connecting to another dimension. Lam Thu cautiously moved toward the dimension created by the system. He wondered aloud, It can teleport me anywhere within 5 meters, I'll give it a try. Host, simply imagine a destination within 5 meters as you open the Anywhere Door. Lam Thu looked around curiously, wondering, In that case, I want to go. He shouted before being swallowed by the dimension. Downstairs! Sparkling streaks of light dissipated as a bright force pushed him powerfully downwards. He landed on the floor, rubbing his head and crying out, Ow, that hurts! Which startled the girl on the bed awake. The girl, Lai Tuyet, 20 years old, tightly gripped a sharp knife in her hand, the landlord's daughter. Pointing the knife at him with a trembling hand, she screamed, Lam Thu, why are you here? Lam Thu waved his hands, quickly trying to explain. So downstairs is the landlord's apartment. Sister Tuyet, calm down. Let me explain. But Lai Tuyet, her eyes blazing with fury, let out a roar that echoed through the entire building. What else is there to say? Beat this pervert to death. Lam Thu wailed, It's a misunderstanding. Stop hitting me. I'm a patient. The next day, at the coffee shop, Lam Thu rubbed his bruised cheek, thinking to himself, Ouch, that really hurts. Good thing Sister Teet let me go. Otherwise, I never would have made it to my meeting with the goddess. She rarely messages me, but today she suddenly did. The pot-bellied Trin Man and another friend were already sitting there. Waiting for him, Chan raised her hand and called out, Lam Thu, over here! Lam Thu slumped, thinking, There are other people here? Chan asked with concern. After a whole night of rest, how did you manage to get even more hurt? Lam Thu rubbed his battered head. Something came up. She replied, Don't worry about it. We're about to head to the spirit zone anyway. You have to take better care of yourself. Chan gestured, introducing them. I called you here today because I wanted you to meet the exploration team, Trong Tom and Trin Man. I'm sure you already know them, Lam Thu thought, tears welling up. So that's why. I'm so happy. A support duo, a shadow system scribe and a 9-star healing system nanny. Trong Tom offered some worried words of comfort. Big bro, are you all right? I'll heal you up in a little while, okay? Trin Man looked bewildered. Poor little bunny. Chan turned her gaze to a muscular man in a red shirt and introduced him to Lam Thu. This is Trang Tan, our squad's main DPS. Bronze 9-star fire system. Trang Tan put his glass on the table and replied cheerfully, Hey, Brother Lam, I saw your match. You were so cool. Chan, sitting on her chair, looked concerned. We have 2 other members who had to go take care of some university admission procedures, so they couldn't be here today. She said softly to Lam Thu, That's right. You must have received your university acceptance letter from Spirit Marshall University, right? He sat down and replied, "Mm-hmm. I just got a whole stack this morning." Remembering the delivery person from earlier, he thought to himself, the famous Spirit Marshall University, a place I never even dared to dream of getting into. And now they're competing to recruit me. It feels like a dream. Chan wanted to confirm one more time. "So, Lam Thu," she looked at him and asked gently, "I was wondering which university you're planning to go to." Lam Thu blushed, thinking, why is my goddess suddenly asking about my university plans? Could she want... Unsure how to answer Chan, he thought for a moment. Lam Thu winked, raised his hand, and said to Chan, "I'm probably leaning towards Spirit Marshall University. What do you think? Want to go to the same university as me?" Hearing that, Chan spoke up. "You're actually right. I do want to go to the same university as you. I refuse to accept always losing to you. I want to defeat you fair and square at university," Lam Thu replied, overjoyed. "No problem. At my goddess's command, I am ready for battle at any time." Chan shot up from her seat, crossed her arms, and brushed him off. "Stop fooling around. Let's get down to business." She pointed to a book and said, "Although we're exploring a bronze-level spirit ruin, our target is the spirit beast inside, the ice fox. I'm the one who needs its spirit core. But ice foxes tend to gather in packs, so it's impossible for one person to deal with them alone. That's why I wanted to ask for everyone's help." Chan gently explained the situation. Her brow furrowed as she softly asked for everyone's opinion. "I know that you're all going to the spirit ruin for your own trials, and don't need anything in particular, so you're mainly joining the team to help me. I'm truly grateful." Trin Man smiled and replied, Chan, you don't have to be so formal with us." Trang Than nodded in agreement. "That's right. This is a form of training for us, too." Truong Tom chimed in. "Exactly. Besides, it's our good fortune to be on the same team as Big Bro Lam and learn from him." Lam Thu chuckled, looked at Chan and replied, "Ha, it's my honor to be invited by the goddess. I'm delighted to be able to team up with all of you." In his heart, Lam Thu was thinking, your team has 2 powerhouses, a level 8 and a level 9, and you want to learn from a level 2 noob like me? Heh. Chan cleared her throat. Ahem. Stop calling me goddess. Just use my name." She stood proudly with her hands on her hips, her newly formed exploration team behind her, and announced, "All right then. We'll depart in 3 days. Let's meet at 10 a.m. downstairs from Lam Thu's apartment." Everyone replied in unison, "Got it!" On the day of departure at 9:30 a.m., Lam Thu was packing his things, muttering, 9527. A system skill promptly appeared. "Congratulations, host. You have received an E-rank skill, Mastery of Culinary Arts." The system announced, E-rank language mastery confirmed. The host can now understand all human languages on Earth. A-rank medical arts mastery confirmed. The host is now proficient in all Eastern and Western medical arts that have ever existed on Earth. Lam Thu shot a frustrated sideways glance. Another E-rank? How come I've been getting nothing but useless skills lately? Language mastery, medical mastery. What do you want me to do? Go be a headmaster in the West? The system consoled him. Host, you are already extremely lucky. In such a short period of time, you have already unlocked the space system. Lam Thu suddenly remembered and asked, "Oh, right. Speaking of space, how do I use this bag?" The system replied, "Try placing your backpack inside." Lam Thu held his backpack up to the front of the magical bag. Miraculously, the backpack was sucked right in. Lam Thu exclaimed excitedly, "Awesome!" Lam Thu thought happily to himself, "Such a huge backpack." And it went into the storage bag in an instant without adding any weight at all. The system continued. "There's still a lot of space left. Everything in this room could fit inside." Lam Thu gave it a skeptical look. "Are you serious?" From downstairs, Lam Thu heard one of his teammates wave and call out, "Big bro, we're here!" He waved back happily and replied, "I'll be right down." Trinman stared curiously at the pouch and asked, "A space system skill?" In front of everyone's curious gazes, Lam Thu took the alloy staff given to him by Truong Ba and stuck it into the magic pouch. He replied, "Hey, don't look at me like that, you'll make me blush." The fatty then asked, "A dual system awakener?" The staff miraculously slid slowly into the magic pouch. Truong Ba exclaimed in amazement, "It really fit inside. As expected of my big bro." Chan rested her chin on her hand and asked quietly, "The space system is extremely rare. Aren't you just defying the heavens at this point?" Trinman was still staring at the pouch with great interest. She playfully raised her claws. "Let me have a feel." Lam Thu blushed and froze up. "Hey, don't use this as an excuse to get handsy," he thought to himself. A guy has to know how to protect himself out here. But the shameless Trin Man just replied, "What are you talking about?" It's everyone's first time seeing a space system skill after all. The driver up front saw this and laughed loudly. "Ha, Brother Lam, you're hilarious." Tram Kui from the beastification system cheered happily. Everyone, attention! We're about to arrive at our destination. Lam Thu's eyes widened in surprise as he looked ahead. Before them was a torrent of purple energy, a spirit rift, churning violently like a waterfall. Lam Thu thought to himself in amazement. So this is a spirit rift. No one knows how the spirit rifts appeared, but all investigative evidence points to it being related to the recovery of spirit energy. The spirit rifts are filled with all kinds of spirit beasts, and the rank of a rift is determined by the rank of the spirit beasts within. Although spirit beasts can enter the human world, for some unknown reason, they rarely actively do so. However, humanity cannot afford to let its guard down. Therefore, even though the country doesn't place the highest importance on bronze and silver rank spirit rifts, they still assign government personnel to be responsible for recording and guarding them, becoming the last line of defense between humanity and this undefined spatial world. The staff member told Lam Thu's group, "We've already reached the entry limit for today. If you want to go in, you'll have to register for tomorrow." Chan Chan, who was next to him, replied, "All right, I'm here to register our squad. We're heading in tomorrow." Lin Chu stood pensively before the spatial rift of the spirit ruins, an indescribable feeling washing over him as he thought to himself. The spiritual energy at this entrance feels much denser than anywhere else. Meanwhile, Zhenzhen was registering with the staff. Cheng Man suddenly jumped out and clung to his arm, cooing, "Bunny, what are you doing?" Startled, Lin Chu exclaimed, "Ah, Cheng Man!" He rubbed his head helplessly as Cheng Man spoke sweetly. "Humph, you annoying goose. Just call me Man. Don't you call Zhenzhen the same way?" He chuckled and replied, "That's different. Where are you dragging me off to?" Man cheerfully continued to pull him along. "Back to the car for a nap, of course. But before that, I want to study that magical stomach of yours for a bit." She was completely unaware of someone secretly observing them. That person stared at Zhang San with wide eyes, silently sizing them up. "These little brats look loaded. I recognize that fat kid next to the car." The thugs who had been lying in wait pretended to converse with each other. "Boss, this group is a bunch of fat sheep. Should we do it? Look at their gear and their car." The one called Boss smirked and replied, "Of course we're doing it. You see that fat kid? He looks like the young master of the Dingshang Corporation." The 5-star silver rank leader of the Fierce Orchid Squad ordered his men, "Tail them, wait for them to go in. Into the spirit ruins, then follow immediately." Scarface replied, "Don't worry, boss. I'll keep my eyes glued to them." Scarface thought of the rich prize, excited by the prospect of robbery and murder. A little field trip for the rich kids club, huh? Running into the Fierce Orchid Squad? I'd say you guys are pretty unlucky. The 5-star leader crossed his arms, his eyes fierce. "We, the Fierce Orchid Squad, are regulars here. We specialize in taking care of weak little rich adventurers. Just you wait, you brats." Their footsteps made the entire forest tremble, sending birds scattering in panic. The 5-star leader shot them a vicious glare and said, "This spirit ruins will become your grave." The next day, Lin Chu's group officially entered the spirit ruins. They stepped through into a land of lush green grass. Before them were rolling mountains shrouded in mist. The 6 of them stood there, stunned by the sight. Lin Chu thought in amazement, "So this is the world of the spirit ruins. How can the space inside be this massive?" Qin Zhenzhen turned back and said to him, "Let's go. Our target is the inner court of the spirit ruins. It's a snowfield, still a 2-day journey from here." He immediately replied, "Oh, all right." Qin Zhenzhen turned to Cheng Man. Man, keep an eye on our surroundings." Cheng Man replied affirmatively, Don't worry. I already have my little radar on." Her sound-based spiritual skill was like a bat's radar, monitoring their surroundings in real time. Lin Qiu turned and said, "Wow, you're even monitoring so carefully." Qin Zhenzhen gave a signal and said, "All right, everything's ready. Let's move out." Lin Qiu agreed. "Okay." The 3 of them turned and left. Meanwhile, behind a tree, a 3-star thug asked, "Boss, should we make our move now?" The 5-star leader replied, "What's the rush? We're still on the prairie. It's too open. We'll be easily exposed here." A cunning look appeared on the 5-star leader's face as he told the 2-star thugs, "Wait until they enter the forest. We'll give them a proper welcome then." Deep in the prairie was a herd of great horned goats, low-level bronze spirit beasts. They like to eat grass and dislike strangers. They will proactively attack any creature that gets too close. A great horned goat that was grazing suddenly lifted its head as if it sensed something. The very next second, that great horned goat was blown to smithereens. After the large explosion, a group of people slowly became visible through the smoke. Lin Chu, walking in front, said, "You 2 spendthrifts. That skill just burned the spirit beast to a crisp. This hide and fur is all money, you know." The 2 behind him bowed their heads and said, "Sorry," he said regretfully. "See if there are any valuable parts left." Over here, Cheng Man jumped up and down cheerfully. "I found 2 spirit pearls without even needing a skill." Everyone around was quite surprised by this. On their side, Lin Chu and Zhen noticed something. Behind them, a pack of wild beasts was stalking their group, getting clearer by the second. The pack of vicious dogs grew larger as they approached. Up ahead, Zhen turned back and ordered, "They're sawtooth wolves! Everyone be careful, they're preparing to ambush us! Don't attack recklessly, these wolves are extremely vengeful!" Everyone got into a fighting stance, facing the wolf pack. Zhen continued, "If they find an injured pack member, they'll become even more ferocious. They'll attack us more fiercely." Suddenly, Lin Chu asked, "What if their leader dies?" Zhen turned, surprised. "You mean, cut off the head of the snake?" The person behind them gasped in alarm at the idea. Zhen turned back and said, "It's not that easy. Wolves are very cunning. The pack leader won't attack us directly." Lin Chu activated his anywhere door and said, "If it won't come to us, then I can go to it." Zhen asked in shock, "What?" Lin Chu stepped into the anywhere door, not forgetting to say, "You guys stay here and protect yourselves. I'll be right back." Lin Chu grabbed his staff and leaped high into the air. Gaining momentum, he aimed straight for the pack leader, his voice filled with menace. "You're the alpha, aren't you?" The wolves below, not understanding what was happening, looked up at him in confusion. After he spoke, he landed, striking a powerful blow. The pack leader took the full force of his powerful strike, its head caving in. Lin Chu planted his foot on the alpha's head and glared viciously at the pack. The wolves retreated in fear, whimpering. They stared in terror at the demon in human form standing on their leader's corpse. Yelping and whining, they communicated with each other. "What are you waiting for? Run!" Zhang San watched the fleeing wolves. Then he looked back at Lin Chu with utter adoration, his voice full of excitement. "Whoa, that was so unbelievably cool! Your spatial skill is just too awesome." Lin Chu stroked his chin smugly and said, "Just a basic maneuver." He walked over, grabbed the alpha wolf's pelt, and ripped it off forcefully, causing the dead wolf to twitch. Ignoring it, Lin Chu called out to the fat kid, "Hey, fatty, come over here and check this out. This spirit beast should be much more valuable than those goats from before. Let's see what we've got here." In Lum Tu's hand was a stone radiating a brilliant golden light, stunning everyone. Lum Tu looked at the stone in his hand with a sense of accomplishment, his voice filled with doubt. "A spirit pearl?" Chan answered in terror. "This is a skill orb. The skill is stealth." Trong 3 also shouted in shock. "Holy crap! We just got into the spirit realm and we've already found a skill orb." Lam Thu stared at the glowing spirit orb. "Stealth, huh?" Without a moment's hesitation, he handed the spirit orb to the person who had just run over. "This is for Tram Kui. Your beast transformation is a wolf, plus you're in charge of scouting." This action left Trong 3 and Chan stunned, while Tram Kui waved his hands frantically in panic. "What is this? This is way too valuable!" Tram Kui took the spirit orb, his face red with excitement. "I'll accept this spirit orb. Even though it's only bronze tier, the skill it provides is very useful. I estimate its market price is around 2 million. When we get out of the spirit realm, I'll transfer everyone their share." His words made Lam Thu look at the spirit orb with even more excitement. Suddenly, it wasn't a spirit orb in front of him. It was a pile of cash. Someone did some quick math. "So that's more than 300,000 for each of us. We're rich!" Tram Kui held the spirit orb, calmly closed his eyes, and felt it gradually dissolve into thin air. Everyone gasped in amazement. It really vanished. So cool! Tram Kui was also stunned to receive the stealth aura and began celebrating happily. Meanwhile, Lam Thu was secretly crying a river inside. "Damn, if I'd known it was this awesome, I would have kept it for myself." The system appeared. Lam Thu quickly wiped the expression from his face, acting nonchalant and waving his hand. "Whatever. It's just a skill. I get 9,527 of them every day." As he spoke, he operated the system. A mechanical voice rang out. "Drawing skill." The system screen displayed, "Obtained, body enhancement, S-Rank skill. Congratulations, host, for obtaining body enhancement." Lam Thu stared at the system screen doubtfully. "This skill again? I've already drawn it twice before. I remember it usually rips my clothes." The moment he finished the thought, his shirt was torn apart by some force. Chan looked over, blushed, and screamed, "Lam Thu, why are your clothes off?" He remembered the time his clothes had been torn to shreds right in front of Man. He cursed the system inwardly. "You screwed me over again." "You embarrassed me just like this last time. You're not doing this on purpose, are you?" The system immediately retorted, "Bullshit, you brat. You have no idea how lucky you are, drawing a god-tier skill 3 times in such a short period." Embarrassed, Lam Thu covered his bare chest and quickly ran off. He called out to the others behind him, "It's getting dark. Let's rest here for the night. I'll go take care of my clothes and be right back." Chan sighed helplessly. "Honestly." While putting on new clothes, he communicated with the system in his thoughts. "So, my body has been enhanced 3 times. What's my power level like now?" The system replied, "The host's current strength is roughly that of a 6-star silver awakened." Lam Thu couldn't help but be stunned. "A 6-star silver? That's way too strong." The system replied scornfully, "You're the ultimate cheat code. Just be happy about it quietly." Night fell. In the forest, Lam Thu's group set up camp around a fire. Lam Thu wore a blissfully happy and strangely bright smile. He let out a loud laugh. Chan-Chan, sitting next to him with a gloomy, exasperated look, asked, "Hey, listen." Her volume suddenly shot up as she yelled angrily in Lam Thu's ear, "What have you been so happy about ever since you came back from the woods?" Lam Thu laughed sheepishly, covering his mouth and waving his hand dismissively. "It's nothing," he thought to himself. "I can't let her know. This power boost feels so good, I can't wait to see what tomorrow's skill is." Just then, Man walked over and whispered in Chan-Chan's ear, "Big sis, I think we're being followed." Chan-Chan's expression turned grim. "Are you sure? Couldn't it just be other adventurers heading the same way?" Man glanced behind them and replied in a low voice, "I've been watching. They've been following us the whole time. Plus, they're being very careful, always keeping a distance of 800 or 900 meters. They don't get closer, but they don't disappear either." All three of them, Chan-Chan, Man, and Lam Thu, raised their guard, warily scanning their surroundings. Chan-Chan said grimly, "Well then, we have to be extremely careful. The elders in my family told me that there are some illegal organizations that specialize in hunting other adventurers inside the spirit realm." Lam Thu was a bit bewildered. Hunting? In the spirit realm, casualties are a common occurrence. After those people kill and rob someone, as long as they clean up the scene and destroy the body, it's very difficult to catch them. Chan-Chan's voice grew cautious with worry. "If it really is them, they'll definitely make their move when we're deeper in the forest. It's too easy to be spotted out here." Hearing this, Lam Thu was also a bit surprised. He stepped forward, patted her shoulder, and comforted her softly. "Chan-Chan, don't worry. If they make a move, we'll handle it. I'll protect you." Chan-Chan blushed, embarrassed, and turned away, pouting. Who needs your protection? I just mean we need to be prepared." Walking behind her, Lam Thu just smiled fondly. Yes, whatever Chan-Chan says." The next day, inside the tent, a voice rang out. 9,527. The mechanical voice replied, "Drawing skill." The screen lit up. Obtained, taming, E-rank skill. Lying in his tent, Lam Thu was disappointed. He sat up, still sleepy, and yawned. An E-rank? Don't even bother congratulating me. He had been really looking forward to today's skill. Suddenly, a scream erupted from outside. "Ah!" Lam Thu was instantly on alert, his heart pounding. What happened? That was Chan-Chan's voice. Two enormous crimson pythons were staring menacingly at Lam Thu's group. Lam Thu's jaw dropped in horror at the sight. The system analyzed the python that was baring its fangs and lunging to attack. Swift spectacled serpent, extremely fast, venomous, and difficult to tame. Lam Thu suddenly understood. With the taming skill, he could get information on this type of snake. "We're in trouble!" Lam Thu quickly shouted to stop the others. "Everyone fall back! Don't get close to attack!" Just then, one of the two pythons spat venom towards Chan-Chan's group. Luckily, everyone dodged in time. "Dien Loy, let's attack together from a distance." Dien Loy, standing by, acknowledged. "Right!" He unleashed a lightning strike while Chan-Chan launched her ice spikes. They struck the python simultaneously. The python shrieked, taking the full force of the painful blows, and roared. Shocked by the lightning and pinned by the ice, it writhed in agony. Both pythons collapsed to the ground. Chan-Chan sighed in relief. That was way too close. Man beside her complained, "Ugh, this snake is disgusting. It stinks so bad." Just then, Lam Thu walked over with a dagger. This is a man's job. Trung Ba, following behind, noticed something and called out to Lam Thu, "Big bro, something's moving inside." He pointed at the python's bulging stomach. Lam Thu knelt down beside the bulge on the python's stomach. "Wait a second, everyone stay back." As soon as the dagger made an incision, blood spurted out. From within, two glowing red eyes stared out. A mouse suddenly leaped out of the fresh cut. It pounced at Lam Thu as a system window appeared. Prairie Earth Mouse. Temperament. Gentle, very easy to tame. Strengths. Earth-type skills, minor digging expert. Chan-Chan, Man, and Truong Ba gathered around to look at the creature that had appeared before Lam Thu. The two girls exclaimed in unison, "It's so cute!" Lam Thu still had a look of shock on his face. What is this thing? Truong Ba looked at the adorable mouse, still in disbelief. Earth Mouse. The mouse quickly warmed up to Lam Thu, hopping onto his arm. Lam Thu was at a loss for words. I guess this little thing isn't dangerous." No sooner had he said that, the Earth Mouse leaped towards Chan-Chan, making her cry out in surprise. "Ah!" Lam Thu couldn't stop it. Hey! Chan Chan joyfully hugged the adorable mouse. Oh, you're so cute. Such a good boy. The mouse looked content in her arms, but Lam Thu yelled, You! Get off of her right now! He thought to himself, Yeah, not dangerous, my butt. Lam Thu sighed helplessly, clicked his tongue, and went back to cutting open the python. He pulled out 2 pearl-white gems. 2 spirit beads, Lam Thu announced. Behind him, the earth mouse squeaked, Hey-ya! The mouse in Chan Chan's arms got excited, squeaking, Hey, 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 hey! Chan Chan guessed what it wanted and translated, I think it wants the spirit beads you're holding. Lam Thu shot back, No way, in your dreams. The earth mouse scrambled to the ground, looking very agitated. It gestured frantically while squeaking, Hey, hey! Lam Thu seemed to understand. What? You're saying you'll trade me something for them? Yeah, right. Man. And Trong Ba watched the exchange, both having the same thought. They can actually communicate with each other? The earth mouse then turned into an earth bandit. It dashed forward and snatched the spirit beads from Lam Thu's hand. Lam Thu blinked, the items gone from his grasp. Holy crap! He cursed. He was too slow and could only watch as the little rat made off with his prize. With tears welling up in his eyes, Lam Thu watched it go. Trong Ba came over to comfort him. Big bro, it was only 2 spirit beads. Lam Thu thought back. Damn it. What would a rich kid like you know about it? Chan Chan suddenly detected a sound in the distance. She spoke up cautiously. I think I hear something. A massive explosion ripped through the forest, speeding towards Lam Thu's group. Man shouted, Everyone, look out! Get ready to fight! Man said, a little panicked. I sense a group of spirit beasts surrounding us. There's a lot of them. Suddenly, a hole opened up in the ground and a horde of earth mice leaped out. They were carrying gems of all colors on their heads. Hey da! The group was stunned into silence. The mouse that had stolen Lam Thu's beads was at the front, holding a single gem. It waved its little paw, and the other mice obediently lined up in neat rows. Each one dropped the gem it was carrying into a single pile, which quickly grew into a small mountain. The earth mouse held out the spirit bead towards Lam Thu. In disbelief, Lam Thu knelt and pointed to himself. All these spirit beads are for me? The earth mouse nodded its head furiously, squeaking, Hi-ya! To thank you for giving me those 2 earth-type spirit beads. Man took out a notebook and started taking inventory. 70 red spirit beads, 4 with skills, 52 blue ones, 3 with skills, 61 green ones, 3 of which have skills, 30 purple ones, with 2 having skills. Man tallied it up. That's a total of 213 spirit beads, with some of them containing skills. Trong Ba reached out to touch the mountain of spirit beads, sighing in amazement. Even though they're all bronze tier, there are so many of them. Lam Thu picked up a red spirit bead and examined it, thinking to himself, there are no rare types or earth types here. These earth mice probably absorbed them all. The rest of these should match our team's attributes, though. Just then, Lam Thu handed a fire-type skill bead to Trang Than. Here, Trang Than. Trang Than took the bead and quickly thanked him. Brother Lam, I just need a great fireball skill. You can have the rest. Chan Chan quickly spoke up. He turned to her and asked, All of them? She gratefully recalled how he had led everyone in the fight against the cobra. In response to his question, she quickly continued, Yes, we were only able to deal with it so easily. Because of your leadership. Trong Ba excitedly put a hand on his shoulder. That's right! You should take them, big bro! Man chimed in with praise. Yeah, it was all thanks to you having a little, chat with that mouse. That's the only reason we got this trade. Getting so much praise, he could only scratch his head and reply bashfully, I didn't really do anything. The other spirit beads are just useless to Earth-type spirit beasts. That's why it gave them to us. No longer feeling bashful, he quickly started bagging the beads, rambling, Well, since you all insist, I guess I won't be modest. Seeing this, Chan Chan, who was standing behind him, quickly made a suggestion. By the way, why don't you try absorbing one and see what happens? Hearing her words, he paused for a moment. Then he immediately tried to absorb the spirit pearl, and its energy began to swirl around him. He absorbed the powerful energy surrounding him, but couldn't help but wonder, I've never absorbed a spirit pearl before. How does this work? As his hand touched it, he felt a strange sensation from the energy radiating out of it. To his surprise, after absorbing such a massive amount of energy from the spirit pearl, Lam Thu broke through to bronze 3-star. His body felt refreshed as a result. Standing with Man, Trong Ba was incredibly excited to witness Lam Thu's breakthrough. He couldn't help but shout, Congratulations on the breakthrough, big bro! Chun Chun, standing nearby, was also in awe of the spirit pearl's power. To break through just from absorbing it, the power of this thing is incredible. Hearing the praise, he puffed out his chest. Nah, it wasn't just that. I've been training hard this past month and was already on the verge of a breakthrough. But before he could brag anymore, She quickly cut him off. In any case, congratulations. This gives our squad another boost in combat power. Thank you, little fella, she said, repeatedly patting the creature's head in praise. She then told it that they were about to leave. You should go home now. Seizing the moment, he grabbed the little fella by the scruff of its neck, pulling it from her arms. Hold on, I still have a use for this thing. The little creature yelped in pain. He brought his cunning face close to the creature, threatening, Mind coming with us for a little while? I'm sure you won't object, right? Faced with an offer it couldn't refuse, the creature could only agree. Meanwhile, behind them, 2-star and 5-star were spying from behind the rocks. The aggressive 2-star spoke up. Boss, they've gone into the forest. Should we make our move now? Not to be outdone, 3-star quickly interjected. Let me at 'em. A bunch of newbies like that, I can handle them myself. But 5-star stopped them. Not so fast. He observed Lumthu's group, then said to his men, Our squad has 3 silver rank experts. Dealing with them won't be difficult. But this is the only way into the forest. It's not the best place to strike. We need to let them get in a little deeper. A sinister look crossed 5-star's face as he revealed his plan. We'll wait until those fat lambs are deep in the forest, resting with their guard down. That's when we'll strike. Night had fallen, and Lumthu's group had set up camp to rest. Outside, Chun-Chun and Lumthu were gathering firewood. Lumthu quickly set up a manually powered barrier. To be precise, it was powered by the little creature. He had it tear open the ground in front of them, creating a deep pit. The final step was to place stakes inside it. At his command, the creature quickly grabbed a sharp stake and leaped into the deep pit. In an instant, it had planted countless sharp wooden stakes at the bottom. This formed a solid layer of defense for the group. Pleased with the result, he praised the creature. Excellent. Just excellent. Now, call out your little rodent friends. In his hand, he held a vial of cobra venom. He immediately poured the vial of cobra venom into the pit, a cunning expression growing on his face. With a little of this venom added, even if the fall doesn't kill them, they'll be crippled. The drops of cobra venom dripped down into the pit. Drip. Drop. He then praised the little creature's teamwork, and just like that, we're all set. All right, you can all go now. Be careful from now on. Don't let any other spirit beasts catch you. We'll meet again if fate allows. The little creature quickly said its goodbyes and left with its companions. Chun-Chun called out from behind, making him turn instinctively. The traps are all set now. Trin-Man has some news for everyone. Standing by the fire, Man-Man called Chun-Chun and Lumthu over. Chun-Chun asked, What's the news? Man-Man continued in a clear voice. It's that group. They're getting closer. They've stopped about 500 meters away. I can hear them clearly. They're planning to attack us tonight. As she said this, Man-Man's expression was grave. Trung-Ba, next to her, panicked and asked, What? Fear was written all over his face. Man-Man continued, They seem to be the notorious Fierce Wolf Squad. Hearing this, Trung-Ba cried out in alarm, The Fierce Wolf Squad? I've heard about them. They specialize in murdering new adventurers in the spirit ruins, and what's more, several of their members are silver rank. The more Trung-Ba spoke, the more his legs trembled. Lumthu, in contrast, just sat there thinking grimly. Everyone's starting to panic. This isn't good. He quickly spoke up to rally them. Listen up! The way you're all acting right now is wrong, he said, his face completely serious as he laid out his thoughts. I need everyone to remain perfectly calm, because our next opponent isn't someone from a tournament ring. Hearing his words, Chun-Chun and Man-Man calmed down slightly, taking it in. Trung-Ba also listened intently as he continued. They won't show any mercy. The slightest mistake, and it's our necks on the line right here. Tram-Kui, when it starts, you're in charge of protecting Trung-Ba and Trin-Men. Their fighting skills aren't as strong, so they need to avoid being the enemy's primary targets. Lumthu calmly assigned roles, laying out their defensive strategy. Seeing how thorough he was, Chun-Chun was touched and called out his name. She thought to herself, Those are words that I, as the captain, should have been saying. I got caught up in the tension myself just now. Lumthu did his best to encourage Trong 3. You're our crucial backup. Make sure you protect yourself. Thanks to his encouragement, everyone gradually regained their spirits. Even Trong 3, who had been the most scared, perked up and replied, Got it! Seeing all this, Chun-Chun couldn't help but admire his leadership skills. He stays so calm even in a dangerous situation. How impressive. He suddenly turned and started talking to her. Oh, right, Zhen-Zhen. Later if you get scared. My arms are always open for you, he said, putting on a smug face. She stood there, speechless. Then she let out a quiet laugh, her face blushing with embarrassment. Zhen-Zhen looked him straight in the eye, her face red as she said, Well then, I'll be counting on you. Hearing her flirtatious words, he couldn't hold it back and got a massive nosebleed. Inside, he was screaming, My goddess is just too adorable. Everyone rushed to catch him from the shock of Zhen-Zhen's flirtation. Time passed, and in a flash, It was 2 o'clock. Outside Lin Thu's camp, 5-star and his men were secretly watching them. The hunt begins. On this side of the bushes, 5-star initiated the plan with 3-star and 2-star. 5-star's men were at the edge of the thicket, listening to their assignments. 5-star assigned specific positions to begin the hunt. 2, 7, you take the north. 6, you take the south. 4 and 5, you're on the west. The quick-witted 2-star asked, "Boss, how do we make our move?" With the hunting strategy settled, 5-star's group quickly moved to surround Lin Thu's resting place. 7-star charged straight towards their camp. His face was incredibly belligerent. Behind him, 5-star kept hyping up his men, repeatedly shouting for everyone to surround them. 2-star, standing beside him, seemed a little worried. "Boss, aren't we making a bit of a big deal out of this?" Before he could finish his sentence, 2-star's eyes widened in shock at the scene before him. An energy with a blue, starry glow wrapped around his leg, and just like that, the astral power seemed to envelop his entire body. 7-star was thrown far away. With that momentum, he fell right into a spike trap that Lin Thu had set up. Countless sharp stakes pierced through his body. Only then did 5-star and the others see what was happening. Seeing the danger, he yelled to his men in the distance, "What happened?" 7-star, now fallen into the pit, screamed relentlessly. His men panicked and scattered in chaos. Because of this, 5-star ordered everyone to fall back and regroup in the face of the ambush. 2-star quickly reported the losses from the ambush. 7 and 6 are dead. 2-star was helping the injured 4-star after the ambush from Lin Thu's trap. 4-star's stomach was pierced by a wooden stake in the pit. On top of that, it's poisoned. The situation is not good. 5-star cursed in anger. "Damn it, these little brats!" Meanwhile, Lin Thu was yawning widely, complaining, "How rude! It's the middle of the night and they won't even let people sleep." On the other side, 5-star laughed bitterly at his carelessness. "To hunt geese all day, only to have my eyes pecked out by a few geese." The more he thought about it, the angrier he got, his fury blazing. "But just based on your ranks, prepare to die!" Lin Thu raised his hand to the sky, with Min Min and Zhang 3 behind him. He raised his hand and shouted at 5-star's group, "We'll see who's going to die!" Then he snapped his fingers. Suddenly, something started approaching 5-star's group from above, making them gape in astonishment. It was Zhenjian's ice energy crashing down towards them. The energy advanced, leaving sharp pillars of ice on the ground. Zhenjian's ice power completely trapped the feet of 5-star's men, making them jump in shock. At that moment, a ball of fiery astral energy descended upon 5-star's group. The powerful energy sent them flying. 5-star turned to 2-star, only to hear his report. 4-star is gone, he held in his arms. 5-star was furious, his powerful energy exploding outwards. "Good. Very good. Next, I'll let you all learn a little something about what hell truly is." Before Lin Thu's group now stood 2 energy signatures. 3 were silver rank, and 1 was also silver rank. Zhenjian was startled by the energy she was sensing. Such powerful spirit energy. They're all silver rank experts. Lin Thu looked at the group before him, unfazed, and warned them, "It's like you guys think we're the villains here. Just so you know, we're acting in self-defense." Zhenjian, on guard beside him, reminded him, "Lin Thu, stop messing around. Be careful." Looking at the 2 groups before them, one blue and one red, fear rose in Zhenjian's heart. "Their strength is far greater than ours." Zhenjian got into a ready stance and said loudly to Lin Thu, "I'll hold off their leader. The others will keep one person busy. You deal with the rest." Lin Thu turned to look at Zhenjian and immediately realized, is she just putting on a brave face? He reached out and patted her on the shoulder to reassure her. Zhenjian looked at Lin Thu, who struck a cool pose and said in a comforting voice, "Don't be afraid. The great handsome rabbit is here." Zhenjian turned away, embarrassed, and said shyly, I'm not scared." The 2 walked in different directions, and she left him with the words, "I'm going in first." "You guys do your best!" Lin Thu also shouted, rallying his comrades. "Brothers, get ready to move!" In his mind, he thought, her strength is a bit lacking to deal with the leader. "I need to end this fight quickly to help her," Zhang 3 said to Lin Thu. "But brother, just give the order." Lin Thu replied to Zhang 3, "You, find a safe place." Zhang 3 quickly responded, "Yes, sir." Then Lin Thu assigned the others, "You guys protect Zhang 3. The whole group asked in unison, "Huh?" The 2 opponents spoke up, frustrated. "What's the meaning of this? A bronze-level scrub like you wants to die?" Lin Thu replied without a care, "Just a bunch of lackeys, and you talk so much." Hearing this, the 3-star fighter became enraged. He gathered spirit energy in his hand, preparing to strike. "Get ready to die," Lin Thu shouted. "Everyone, be careful!" He immediately unleashed his technique. "Spirit skill, Cyclone!" A terrifying cyclone appeared, sending people flying. Zhang 3 yelled, "Big bro, be careful!" Lin Thu dashed forward, dodging through the cyclone while thinking contemptuously. This is it, too slow. The 3 starfighters were so scared their jaws dropped, rendered speechless. The next thing they saw was Lin Thu, holding an iron bar, sweeping away the 2 hunters on either side. "Take a taste of my staff!" The hunters cried out in pain from the blow. Both men were knocked out by Lin Thu, who now stood with them under his feet. One hand on his hip, the other shouldering the bar, he said contemptuously, "I haven't even used 10% of my strength, and you're already down." Zhang 3 laughed and shouted, "Big bro is amazing." Lin Thu turned and smiled humbly. "Not at all. It's all thanks to this high-quality staff you gave me." On the other side, things weren't going so smoothly for Zhenjin. Her eyes were on high alert. The silver rank leader, 5-star, was charging in to attack Zhenjin, but she seemed to be injured and too weak to fight back. She could only stand there, blinking, waiting for the blow to land. Lin Thu's expression became frantic as he rushed forward. "This is bad!" He quickly appeared behind 5-star, his staff already in position. It all happened in an instant, leaving both Zhenjin and 5-star dazed in disbelief. Enraged, Lin Thu unleashed his full power and struck at 5-Tine, creating a shocking explosion. 5-Tin luckily dodged the blow and turned back in astonishment, wondering what had happened to the corpse behind him. Second brother and third brother are both dead. Lin Thu showed him no mercy, charging forward to attack directly. "Taste this!" He quickly unleashed a 3-pronged downward spear strike, aiming for 5-Tine's vital points. This scared him so much his face turned pale. "Watch it! Where are you aiming, you punk? All you know is how to sneak attack!" 5-Tine quickly leaped back a great distance, narrowly dodging one of Lin Thu's attacks, and cursed, "Damn it!" 5-Tin was now furious. He unleashed all his power to cast the spirit skill, Roaring Tiger's Fury. "You rotten brat, you've really pissed me off!" He leaped high into the air, extending his sharp claws as he lunged towards him. 5-Tin's face was now incredibly ferocious. "I'll butcher this rabbit first!" Lin Thu quickly raised his staff to defend, but due to the huge difference in strength, he struggled to hold on. He was knocked backward by 5-Tin's blow. At that moment, Lin Thu bent his knees, trying to stay grounded. He panted heavily, gritting his teeth. "His strength is overwhelming. I can't fight force with force. I have to think of another way." Seeing that Lin Thu wasn't fighting back, 5-Tin became even more arrogant. "You dare get distracted?" 5-Tin launched another attack, then another and another, striking at Lin Thu relentlessly, but not a single blow landed. Watching his attacks being dodged so perfectly, 5-Tin thought to himself, "This kid is nimble. I have to finish him quickly. Otherwise, my tiger's fury won't last much longer." 5-Tin gathered all his strength, wanting to end it with his spirit skill, Tiger's Whip. "You think you can just keep hiding like that? Let's see you taste my tiger's whip." Lin Thu looked at 5-Tin with a helpless expression and said, "Whoa, you're not planning on attacking me with that indescribable thing, are you?" 5-Tin didn't say another word. He jumped high into the air, spun his body, and whipped his long tail towards Lin Thu. Lin Thu tried to block, his mind racing. "As long as the tiger's whip isn't that disgusting thing, I'm good." At this point, Lin Thu could no longer hold his ground and was sent flying into the air. Luckily, he managed to land safely. The power of a white silver is truly not to be underestimated. Looks like I can't hide my trump card any longer. Lin Thu entered the mind gate, thinking, "Come on out." Stepping out of the mind gate, he said to himself, "But your good days are over now." 5-Tin was shocked. Why did he suddenly disappear? Lin Thu jumped from the air behind him and attacked. He asked in shock, "What? Since when?" 5-Tin turned to face the attack, saying, "But this is good. You walked right into it." As he threw a punch at Lin Thu, he added, "Let's see you dodge this." Suddenly, he turned and shouted, "Now's the time! Attack!" Just then, 3 people who had been waiting with 3 different spirit skills, including Lin Dong's Great Fireball and Lightning Strike, unleashed their attacks, while Lin Thu had already jumped into the mind gate, leaving a stunned 5-Tin to think. How is this possible? How on earth did that kid disappear? It's over! 5-Tine finally realized. Could it be that this newbie is a space-type user? Meanwhile, with a sharp gaze, Lin Thu said, "We meet again, big kitty." Meow! Everything in front of them exploded. Lin Thu stepped through the mind gate and said, "Good coordination." As for 5-Tin, he was now tattered and lying flat on the ground. Zhang San went over to check on him. The boss is dead. Seeing his mangled body, Chan Chan's reaction was severe. She covered her mouth as if she was about to vomit, which caught his attention as she sank to the ground. Lin Thu patted her back and asked, "Are you okay?" Looking at Zhang San and Min Min, he thought, "It seems this counterattack has had a big impact on everyone." Lin Thu stood up and said, "I know this is the first time for all of you killing someone, but this is the spirit void." He continued seriously, "If we don't kill them, they'll kill us. We were just defending ourselves." Besides, I don't regret killing this scum at all. Thinking about how their hands were stained with innocent blood, he looked at the three of them and continued to console them. We've put an end to their crimes here, preventing even more casualties from happening. Lin-Thu continued. Let's pull ourselves together. We'll find another place to rest, okay? I'm sure none of you want to sleep next to this pile of corpses tonight, right? Jang San replied, at a crucial time like this, we'll follow the boss's lead. He gave the signal. Let's go. Tan Chan Chan's adoring gaze had been fixed on Lin-Thu this whole time. Lin-Thu urged everyone, let's get some rest. Jang San and I will take watch. He and Jang San sat outside the tent, talking. After being healed by Jang San, Lin-Thu felt his strength had multiplied. Amazing, I'm completely recovered. Jang San laughed humbly. It's just a minor skill. Nothing compared to you, boss. Lin-Thu laughed heartily, encouraging him. You're our powerful team healer. What's there to be humble about? Jang San blushed at the praise. Then, could you call me the team dad? Suddenly, a voice called out Jang San's name. Jang San looked up and saw Tan Chan Chan coming out. He asked in surprise, Big sis, why are you out here? Tan Chan Chan suggested, you go get some rest. I'll take watch with Lin-Thu. However, Jang San didn't dare. How could I do that? Or maybe The look in Tan Chan Chan's eyes said it all. It's just that I have something I want to say to him. Jang San quickly caught on and retreated. Understood. Then I won't disturb you two any longer. I'll take my leave. Lin-Thu was so shocked his jaw dropped. What is this situation? He sat there, feeling restless and wondering, why is the goddess suddenly acting so strange? Lin-Thu couldn't help but glance over at Tan Chan Chan. What does she want to talk to me about? Suddenly their eyes met, startling Lin-Thu and making him blush beet red. He decided to speak first. Don't just stare at me because I'm handsome. I'll get embarrassed. But in his head, Lin-Thu was going crazy. Oh my god, why is Chan Chan looking at me too? The excitement was written all over his face. Being stared at by the girl I like is so embarrassing. Tan Chan Chan giggled at Lin-Thu's words. You're so thick-skinned, praising yourself like that. However, a second later, she had to admit, but really, looking at you like this, I've realized you're actually kind of handsome. Lin-Thu was so shocked he fell backward. He subconsciously shouted, Whoa, who are you? The normal Chan Chan would never praise me like that. Who would have thought not only did Qin Zhenzhen not refuse, but this time she even proactively extended her hand to get to know Lin-Thu. What I said was true. Today, when everyone was panicking, you stabilized the squad's morale and even dealt with the dangerous silver crime group. She was extremely unconvinced about that. You being like that was honestly so cool. The more Lin-Thu listened, the more unbelievable it seemed. Zhenzhen. Finally, his emotions swelled up so intensely that Lin-Thu grabbed Qin Zhenzhen's hand. You came here. His voice softened again as he asked with an awkward look, Do you have a boyfriend? Qin Zhenzhen, caught off guard by the sudden attack, blushed beet red. Sweat started to bead on her forehead. Huh? Qin Zhenzhen quickly pulled her hand back and gave him a playful glare. Why are you asking that? Lin-Thu froze, then quickly tried to recover. That's not what I meant. In his head, he deeply regretted the words that had just slipped out. It's a disaster. Zhenzhen is just too cute, so for a moment, he acted unconsciously. He then tried to change the subject. You're suddenly praising me like this. I'm starting to suspect you have a thing for me. Zhenzhen was flustered and yelled, A thing for you? What do you mean? How did this turn into some kind of superpower competition? Qin Zhenzhen advised Lin-Thu, You should just give up. My standards for a significant other are not low at all. In every aspect, he must be stronger than me. After hearing this, Lin-Thu smiled. Well, isn't that me? He thought to himself. Great, so that means she doesn't have a boyfriend. Sure enough, after hearing that, Qin Zhenzhen couldn't argue back. She tried to argue stubbornly, but right now you're only a little stronger than me. But when it comes to academics, I won't admit defeat. We'll have to wait until the exam results are out to see who's #1 in the entire city. Zhenzhen is really. Lin-Thu didn't hesitate to accept the challenge. So, what if my score is still higher than yours? He knew full well that since he had already received his university acceptance letter, he wasn't planning on taking the exam. Now he'd have to prepare for it seriously. Seizing the opportunity, Lin-Thu made a proposal. If I win again, will you be my girlfriend? On the surface, Qin Zhenzhen tried to maintain her pride. In your dreams! A moment later, someone came out to help. Boss, we're here to switch shifts. He knew it was already late, so he said goodbye to her to go home. All right, Zhenzhen. See you tomorrow. Qin Zhenzhen pretended to be annoyed and didn't answer him. Everyone watched, confused. Why is Big Sis angry again? The next morning came quickly. As soon as he opened his eyes, Lin-Thu opened the system to check. 9527, activating today's skill. 9527, a skill is being drawn. Suddenly, a moment later, a gigantic notification exploded from the system. Congratulations, host, for receiving spiritual energy enhancement. Enhancement commencing immediately. The words were written in huge letters on the screen. Spiritual energy enhancement, S-Rank skill. Lin Thu was completely stunned. Spiritual energy can be enhanced too? Could it be? He tried checking his current power and discovered he had broken through to bronze 5-star. It went up, and it was a 2-level jump at once. Lin Thu gave 9527 a devious look, as if he wanted to ask for countless things. This is so awesome. How about being a little more generous and boosting me to silver? Or even gold. Even 9527 couldn't stand his greed. It shouted, "In your dreams, the host's luck is already phenomenal, and you still have the nerve to ask for more. See you tomorrow." Lin Thu stepped out of his tent, his heart soaring. Beast transformation, bronze 5-star, power, silver 6-star. This is just too perfect. Seeing Lin Thu step out, Zhang San greeted him. "Boss, you're awake." However, he immediately sensed something different about Lin Thu. This aura. He couldn't help but ask, "Boss, don't tell me you've reached bronze 5-star." Zhang San's mind was in such chaos that the knife in his hand slipped and cut his finger, drawing blood. Everyone around him ran over worriedly. "Hey!" Chengmin gently took out a cloth to wipe the cut for Zhang San, her brows furrowed with concern. "Be careful, won't you?" Lin Thu let out a chuckle and asked about his condition. "Are you okay? Why so surprised?" Zhang San's eyes were wide. "Damn, boss. You jumped 2 levels in one night. You think that's not surprising enough?" Hearing that, everyone swarmed over to see. "What?" Lin Thu broke through 2 levels? Are you even human? For the first time, Lin Thu felt so much pressure from being surrounded. He explained, "Yesterday's battle gave me something of an epiphany. That's why I was able to break through so quickly this time." After speaking, Lin Thu humbly scratched his head. "Please don't laugh at me, you experts." Lei Din glanced at him sideways and exclaimed, "You're just on another level." Zhang San and the others showered him with praise. "As expected of our boss." Suddenly, Cheng Min's expression turned wary. "Everyone, prepare to defend yourselves." In front of them, a large, panicked crowd was stampeding toward them. "There's a group of spirit beasts heading our way." Lin Thu was caught off guard and yelled, "What?" Lin Thu had a horrified look on his face. This is bad. A horde of ape-like creatures were charging, attacking people. Lin Thu used the system to analyze them. Ghoul apes. A living herd, hot-tempered, and extremely difficult to tame. Moreover, they are exceptionally lecherous. These ghouls will pounce on any female they see. Their actions are incredibly debauched. Seeing this, Lin Thu immediately turned around and warned everyone. "Everyone run! These are ghoul apes! Especially Zhenzhen and Cheng Min. Ghoul apes are extremely lecherous. If you get caught, you'll be forced to be their mate." Hearing this, the whole group turned and fled. The horde of ghoul apes quickly caught up behind them. Zhang San panted as he ran. "Ha! Ha! Huff! I can't run anymore!" The others weren't in better shape than me, and I could see the situation wasn't looking good. Lin Chu thought, "We can't go on like this. We can't outrun these beasts." In the end, the group decided to stay and face these damn soul eaters. I'm almost out of strength. In 18 years, I'll be a hero again. Let's give them hell. Lin Kyo broke off a tree branch, ready to fight alongside everyone. It seems this is the only way. Zhen Zhen turned to Lin Chu, her voice trembling slightly. "Lin Chu, I need to ask you for a favor. You have to promise me." Hearing Zhen Zhen say this, Lin Kyo's face filled with confusion. "Huh?" Zhen Zhen said slowly, "If, in the end, we can't defeat them." At this, Zhen Zhen's face suddenly flushed red. An image of herself being captured and made into some monster's bride flashed in her mind. She said shyly, "I'd rather die than fall into the hands of these animals." The girl next to her also replied shyly, "Me too." Lin Chu stepped forward and answered firmly, "Don't worry, we'll all be fine." He thought to himself, "I'll protect you even if it costs me my life." Lin Chu charged forward, shouting orders, "I'll hold them off. You two get ready to amplify." The 2 girls replied, "Got it." In an instant, Lin Chu was surrounded by the monsters. "Just a bunch of uncivilized beasts dare to harass my goddess?" Lin Chu struck the ghouls one by one. His expression was utterly resolute. The ghouls shrieked in pain as the entire pack charged towards Lin Chu. Zhen Zhen, watching from behind, suddenly noticed something. This is bad. Lin Chu is still fighting the spirit beasts, but a few of the soul eaters have already broken through. Spotting Zhen Zhen standing alone, a soul eater tried to take its chance and lunge at her. In that critical moment, a huge explosion completely obliterated the lecherous ghoul. It turned out to be Lin Chu. He had arrived just in time to block its attack. Without saying much, Lin Chu gave the ghoul a whack. "Get lost!" Suddenly, another ghoul attacked from behind. Unable to react in time, Lin Chu took a blow from the soul eater. His face twisted in pain. "Ugh!" Seeing this, Jen became extremely worried. She called out, "Lin Chu, we're ready!" At that moment, Lin Chu clutched his injured arm. "All right!" The three of them combined their power to drive back the monsters. The echoing screams of the Soul Eaters mixed with their combined strength, creating a heaven-shaking explosion. Zhang San saw that the Soul Eaters had been destroyed. A relieved smile spread across his face. "That's great! We took care of them." Chungmin used her special hearing to check. Her voice panicked as she said, "Wait! I can sense another wave of spirit beasts approaching." As she spoke, she pointed ahead. In the distance, a massive herd of monsters was aggressively marching towards them. "Holy crap, there are so many of them. Is that their boss over there?" Zhang San stammered. Chungmin was so scared, she burst into tears. Sob. The situation was extremely tense. It was difficult for Lin Chu and the others. Our spiritual energy and stamina are almost completely depleted. This time we're really in trouble. Chungmin was so scared she could barely speak. Sniffle. "I don't want to die here like this. I haven't even had a boyfriend yet." Zhang San turned his head with a bewildered look and asked, "Min Min?" Seeing Chungmin cry, he felt a pang of sympathy and decided to stand up and protect her. For Min Min's sake, there's no other way. He took out his phone to call someone. He didn't forget to comfort Chungmin. "Min Min, I won't let anything happen to you." Seeing Zhang San's expression suddenly change, Chungmin was a little surprised. "Huh?" Zhang San stared at his phone, then held it high and yelled, "Get over here, Zhao Sai!" He double-tapped it, and instantly, a man appeared out of nowhere. "Young master, don't be afraid. Zhao Si is here." A tall man appeared before Zhang San. Seeing him, Lin Chu immediately used his system to check the man's identity. Name, Zhao Si. Rank, Gold Tier Awakened 1. Ability, Gorilla Beastification. Zhang San pointed at him. "Hey, Zhao Si! You stole my dad's cigars again, didn't you?" Zhao Si casually replied, "Young master, don't sweat the small stuff." Zhang San didn't beat around the bush and directly ordered Zhao Si, "Go take care of these beasts. If you don't, I'll tell my dad you stole his cigars." Zhao Si replied bluntly, "No problem. These stinking monkeys aren't even enough to get stuck in my teeth." After speaking, he took off his outer shirt and began his beastification. Jen watched with an admiring expression. "His aura is so powerful. A gold tier." Zhang San didn't take his eyes off him for a second. With a proud look, he replied, "That's right. He's my gold tier butler." Hearing gold tier, Lin Chu's face went blank. "What? Gold tier?" Zhang San took the opportunity to command, "Zhao Si, go! Teach these beasts a lesson for me." Accepting his master's command, Zhao Si ferociously charged towards the monsters. His entire body erupting with rage, he rushed the monkeys. The monkey leader screeched continuously, "Hoo-hoo, all of you, get back! Let me handle this!" His underlings chattered amongst themselves. "Hoo-hoo, that big gorilla looks really strong." With his eyes gleaming, Zhao Si stormed towards the fiercely roaring monkey leader. He grabbed the monkey's arm and twisted it hard, then began throwing it from left to right. He was incredibly strong. The other monkeys saw their boss getting thrashed so relentlessly, unable to land a single hit. They grew worried. One screeched, "This gorilla is too much!" Another, with tears welling in its eyes, whimpered in fear, "Hoo-hoo! The boss is getting beaten to a pulp! We have to run! Let's get out of here!" Zhao Sai used immense force to throw the monkey leader far into the distance. The leader lay in the middle of the ground, struck by a painful blow. His underlings shrieked, "Who, boss?" While the monkey leader was still in shock from the throw, his underlings were terrified when they saw Zhao Si's gigantic shadow looming over them. They whimpered in fear, "Hoo! Don't come over here!" Zhao Si's body erupted with rage, his eyes glowing red. He roared continuously, intimidating the monkeys. His entire body transformed, growing enormous as spiritual power radiated from him. This sent the monkeys fleeing in a terrified, chaotic stampede, screeching non-stop. Watching the red-bottomed monkeys haul ass to get away from Zhao Si, Lin Qiu looked at Zhao Si, who was dusting off his jacket, and sized him up. So this is the terrifying power of a gold-tier expert. Zhao Si reverted to his handsome, suave human form. Waving his hand, he said to Zhang San, "Young master, the matter is settled. I'll be taking my leave now." Zhang San crossed his arms and smiled in reply. "Good work, and don't worry about the cigar issue." Zhao Sai leaped away, leaving behind a "Thank you, young master." Zhenmian turned to ask Zhang San, "Has that Zhao Si been with us this whole time?" He gave a gentle smile and explained, "That's right."
Actually, it wasn't supposed to be just old Si.
Zhang San looked at Lei Dian and explained, "Your families also wanted to send people to protect you guys secretly, but in the end, after discussing it, they decided to send old Si alone." Just as Zhang San said, the parents of the rich young masters and misses had discussed it and sent one representative to protect them. Zhang San scratched his head and said, "Sorry, guys. It was a family decision. They only told me, and they repeatedly warned me not to tell anyone else. With his hands on his hips, Lei Dian replied coolly, Brother, we don't blame you. Dense spiritual power began to swirl around Lei Dian as he spoke. If we'd known we were being protected, we wouldn't have had to lift a finger during this trial. But things are different now. The training these past few days has made me realize a lot of things. Lei Dian had broken through to 9-star bronze. He declared confidently, The spiritual power in my body is overflowing. Lin Chu's eyes went wide with surprise. His jaw dropped wide enough to fit a goose egg. Whoa, he broke through just like that? Lin Qiu turned to see Jen Mian also breaking through. She cheered, Me too! Holding a ball of spiritual power in his hand, Lin Qiu mused, If everyone else broke through thanks to the training, then maybe I can too. Lin Qiu closed his eyes to meditate, feeling the spiritual power gathering around him. He thought to himself, Let's give it a try. He felt his whole body become light, his energy abundant. The power within him surged excitedly. Ah! A warm current was flowing through his dantian. Could I also be? Lin Qiu opened his eyes, sensing the change in his body. He strained with all his might, but all he got in return was the sound of a fart, leaving the entire group, including Zhen, staring blankly. After a moment, Lin Qiu could only give up helplessly. He said to everyone sheepishly, I really thought I could break through, but after holding it in for so long, all that came out was a fart. Hearing this, they all laughed and teased him. Just then, a notification appeared from the system. Host broke through to 5-star bronze not long ago. Want to break through again? In your dreams. The words made his heart sink. So in the end, I'm still just 5-star bronze trash. However, just when Lin Qiu thought all was lost, an idea flashed in his mind. Huh? The Spirit Pearl. He was able to learn about it thanks to the system. Silver Spirit Pearl. Sonic-type skill. Lion's Roar. Can immobilize enemies for a few seconds. Duration depends on level. All of this was astonishing to him. A Silver Spirit Pearl that actually has a rare Sonic-type skill. Lin Qiu turned his head and called out to Zhang San. Hearing him call, Zhang San quickly came over. What is it, big bro? He held the Spirit Pearl in his hand and showed it off. Kid, I picked up a Sonic-type skill pearl earlier. This is as far as I can help you. Hearing this, Zhang San was stunned. He asked hesitantly, Big bro, a pearl like this is really hard to get. Are you sure you want to? Just then, Lin Qiu remembered Zhang San's gentle actions towards Zhen Mian, so he made a quick judgment. Based on my observations, you have feelings for Zhen Mian, don't you? Want to use this flower to win the Buddha's favor? Zhang San didn't try to hide it. He scratched his head shyly. Big bro, you're really observant. I really do like her. A memory of Zhen Mian gently feeding him flooded back. The rice is ready. Say ah. Being fed by his crush, he was over the moon. Mian Mian is so gentle. She's a great cook, and she has such a kind heart. She'll be a good wife. Lin Qiu felt helpless listening to him ramble on. He's already thinking about marriage? With the acquisition of this Spirit Pearl, Trung 3 didn't forget his big bro's contribution. He promised Lin Ka he'd transfer him 2 million once they got out, which he happily agreed to. Whoops, if I'm not careful, I might just become a millionaire. Nice. At that moment, he was happily holding the Spirit Pearl, thinking, I'm so happy. How should I give this to Man? Her voice suddenly came from behind. What are you trying to do? Startling Trung 3 for a moment. Man, when did you... She explained, I saw you two whispering and laughing about something, so I got curious and came to take a look. As he was about to hide the Spirit Pearl, he said, No, it's nothing, that is... But Lin Fu, who was behind him, wasn't about to let him hide it that easily. He nudged his shoulder, pushing him towards Trin Man. Ha! This kid gets shy at the most crucial moments. Guess I'll help him out this once. This caused him to lose control of his body for a second and nearly fall. Whoa, I'm falling! But Trung 3 knew this was the perfect opportunity, so he didn't hesitate. He knelt on one knee in front of Trin Man. Man, please accept this. This made her very surprised. Huh? After looking at the Spirit Pearl in his hand, her jaw dropped in astonishment. This is a sound-type skill pearl, Trungba... Did you get this specially for me? He answered shyly, I got it for you. It took a lot of effort to find it. This, of course, made her feel very warmly towards him. Trinman gave him a tight hug. You're the best. This made him so happy. It's nothing. This scene forced Lin Thu's group to endure a public display of affection. A moment later, Chan Chan was holding a piece of paper, observing what was written on it. Then she gently reminded the group, All right. The show's over. Everyone pack your things, we're moving out. Lin Thu immediately agreed. Got it. Trung 3 saw they were about to leave and had to call out, Wait for us! And so Linthu's group of 4 set off together. After walking for a while, Chan made an announcement.
This is the intersection between the forest and the snowfield. We'll rest here for the night.
Linthu readily agreed. Sounds good. So they divided the chores. Some set up tents, others started a fire. While working, Linthu glanced over at his goddess, Chan. He noticed she was only wearing a thin shirt, and the weather was so cold. Being a gentleman, he took off his own jacket. Holding it, he walked over to her and urged, "Here, wear this first. Be careful not to catch a cold." This warmed her heart. As she said her thanks, a faint smile appeared on her lips. The next day, early in the morning, a spirit beast approached their location. It let out a roar. At that moment, they were still unaware of the spirit beast's existence. Trung 3 saw Linthu coming out of the tent and cheerfully called out, "Good morning, everyone. Come get some breakfast." He just popped a small piece of bread into his mouth and then announced to his system, 9527, time to get to work. As usual, the system began to draw a skill for him. Drawing skill, spearmanship proficiency, E-rank skill. Such a low-rank skill immediately made him feel discouraged. Even though the system congratulated him, "Congratulations, host, for obtaining the E-rank nurturing skill," he wasn't happy at all. "E-rank again? Don't call yourself 9527 anymore. I should just call you Sir Useless." His words infuriated the system. It didn't hold back and cursed at him. "Get lost!" At that moment, Linthu thought to himself, "Today's skill is just pathetic. I need to find some other way to get ahead." Then he called over to Trung 3 next to him. "Trung 3, pass me the honey." The boy immediately handed him the honey jar. As he passed it over, Trung 3 praised him. "Big bro, you like bread with honey too? You've got good taste." A moment later, Linthu still hadn't gotten his hands on the honey jar. He thought Trung 3 was being lazy and chided him. "What's taking so long? Hand it over." This confused the boy. "Huh? But I already passed it to you." But in reality, the honey jar had been snatched by the spirit beast. It let out a ferocious roar at them. The roar was enough to snap even a drowsy Linthu wide awake. However, before it could show off for long, Trin Man appeared. She used her skill, Spirit Chi, Lioness's Roar, while constantly encouraging the two of them. "Trung Ba, don't be afraid, watch me!" She wasn't the only one to act. Linthu and the other two also unleashed their moves. "Take this!" Just like that, the ferocious spirit beast from moments ago was reduced to a helpless little creature. "Ah! Don't!" A moment later, the spirit beast had been beaten senseless, lying motionless on the white snow. At this point, Chan didn't hesitate to give Trin Man a compliment. "With that immobilization skill of yours, our team's fights are much easier." This made her very happy. Afterwards, Chan opened the paper again and quickly announced to the group, "Let's get ready. Time to move on. We should be able to reach our destination today." Hearing this, Trin Man was overjoyed. "Does that mean we can reach the fox's den today? How exciting." Meanwhile, Linthu looked at the spirit beast at his feet and got an idea. He took out a small knife, seemingly to cut the beast's bindings. Seeing him engrossed in his work, Chan walked over to ask, "How's it coming along? We need to get going." He glanced at her and replied, "Almost done." After that, he said, "This entire spirit beast is a treasure. I'm planning to throw it directly into my storage space." And as he spoke, he tossed the spirit beast into his bag, leaving her completely stunned. "No way! You're bringing this bear with you?" He calmly said it was nothing, not serious at all. Hearing that, Jun didn't ask any more questions. She pointed ahead of him. "As long as you like it, that's fine. Let's go." About 3 hours later, they had already traveled a very long way together. At this moment, Jin opened the paper again to look. The map shows that we're probably near the snow fox's den. Trin Man also used her skill to sense the area. A moment later, she announced to the group, "I can sense them. There are 32 snow foxes nearby. Everyone, be careful." Truong 3 couldn't believe it. He had to exclaim, "That many?" Just then, something nearby caught their attention. Jin and Lin Chiu turned their heads slightly to look. Suddenly, a small spirit beast walked toward them, its white fur mixed with a few black patches, and its cute expression quickly captured the hearts of the two girls in the group. "It's so adorable." Lin Chiu just quietly observed it from the side. "This spirit beast doesn't seem to be dangerous." The system fully agreed. Normal silver rank snow fox, gentle temperament, easy to tame. Unless you are absolutely certain, do not harm its clan, or you will be hunted relentlessly by the snow foxes. And so he began to think things over. Jin's goal for this spirit trial was to obtain a snow fox's skill orb, but it seems she really likes this little one. He wondered, what will she choose to do? Then he slowly walked over to her. Jin, he said frankly, "Snow foxes are gentle. Taking care of this one shouldn't be a difficult matter." This made her feel very regretful. Her face clearly showed her reluctance to harm this small spirit beast. But he still asked seriously, "Do you need us to do it for you?" And so, she could only thoughtfully place the little spirit beast down on the snow. After a moment of thought, Jen told the group, "Let's just forget it. If we were to kill an innocent creature just for a skill orb, then how would we be any different from those who ambushed us before?" She gently watched its small figure leave. A moment later, she had shaken off the feeling of reluctance, looking completely happy. Just being able to see such an adorable spirit beast, I'm already very satisfied. Hearing this, Lin Chu also felt a shared sense of happiness. As expected of my goddess, a person both beautiful and kind. Truong 3 at the side also chimed in with praise. "You truly are our big sis. Your character is extraordinary." Once that was settled, she suggested to everyone, "Then let's head back." But Lin Cho suddenly felt a sense of unease. "Wait." He gallantly stood up, shielding the girls. "We might not be able to head back just yet." It turned out 2 large snow fox-type spirit beasts had appeared before them. They suddenly roared angrily at the group. This made someone as knowledgeable as Lin Chu realize the problem immediately. "I can tell from their roars. They must have misunderstood and think we captured their child." Jen heard this, and immediately asked him how they should handle this. "Then what should we do?" Just then, the little spirit beast quietly approached its parents. It explained everything to them. After hearing it, the misunderstanding was quickly resolved. The large spirit beasts were no longer angry. Observing the situation, Lin Chu happily announced to them, "That little snow fox is so smart. It explained everything for us." Hearing that, Jen also let out a sigh of relief. "Really? That's great!" Truong 3 added, "Good thing we didn't do anything just now." But then, he had a huge question for him. "Let's get back to the main topic, boss. You can understand the language of spirit beasts?" He just casually made something up. "Not really. I just kind of like animals." But in his heart, he was secretly happy to have a skill like this today. It's all thanks to those E-rank skills related to animals from before. He bravely stepped forward toward the 2 parent snow foxes. "I want to at least try to see if I can get a skill orb." This made the whole group very worried for him. "Be careful, they're silver-rank spirit beasts after all." He in turn reassured them. "Don't worry." Standing before a spirit beast as large as a full-grown snow fox, he could still confidently state his purpose. "Hello. The purpose of our visit is to find your skill orbs. If you have any, I hope you can give one to me. I can use something else to trade with you." After hearing him, the 2 spirit beasts cried out as if confirming they had them. This made him very happy. "You really have them?" But then they let out a sorrowful cry. With his current skill, he quickly understood their words. "Oh, you're saying that if we help you deal with an enemy, you can give one to us?" Lin Cho clenched his fists. Filled with fighting spirit, he asked, "Who is the enemy that dares to attack adorable spirit beasts like you? We will help you eliminate it!" Hearing them cry out the name White-Crested Snow Bear left him and the whole group stunned. "What? You're saying the enemy is a silver-rank snow bear? Could it be?" He then reached into his bag to see where the spirit beast from breakfast was. He then directly threw it out in front of them. He pointed at it and asked, "This one?" They looked in disbelief that he had taken it down himself. "That's it! You're our great benefactor." For this, as a reward, the parent spirit beasts gave him 2 skill orbs. "Take these." He happily took them. "Thanks." Then he brought them over to Jen and explained, "These spirit pearls are a gift left behind by the previous generation of snow foxes after they died. They gave us 2 pearls. Hearing this, she got very excited. "Thank you so much. I just need one to learn a skill." The group was also eager to see her learn a new skill. "Big sis, try learning it now. Let's see how powerful it is." Lin Thu, on the side, quietly said, "I want to see too." Although a bit shy, Jen still agreed with them. "All right then." She held the spirit pearl out in front of her, closing her eyes tightly to feel it. Just a moment later, she materialized a large bow made of ice. Holding it in her hand, Jen calmly said, "There, it's done." Lin Thu immediately followed the path of her arrow. It flew past him as fast as lightning, making him exclaim, "So fast!" Her arrow shot straight forward. It destroyed everything in its path with incredible ease. After the arrow passed, a blue circle immediately appeared, wrapping around the trees it had shot through and pulling them toward the group. Admiring this sight, Lin Thu had to exclaim again, "So powerful." Lady An said helplessly, "It's over. Looks like I have no hope of ever surpassing Big Sis." Just then, Lin Thu walked up to Jen and praised her. "Congratulations on getting such a powerful skill." This made her blush, and she humbly replied, "It's nothing. We should get ready to head back." Suddenly, Chengmin had an idea. She shouted to everyone, "Wait a second! We rarely get to meet up like this. Let's take a souvenir photo together." Hearing that, Zhang San immediately agreed. He scrambled over to the 2 large spirit beasts. "Min, great idea. I'll go ask our snow fox friend to hold the phone for us." He carefully placed the phone on the spirit beast's thick fur. All right, a 10-second timer is set. Chengmin called him over to her. Zhang-san, hurry up! A moment later, a click was heard. They had gotten a beautiful photo, which even included the small spirit beast. And 3 days later, Lin Thu was back home. He looked at the photo on his phone, intentionally zooming in to get a closer look at himself and Zhen. He couldn't stop grinning as he looked at the picture. The more he looked, the more he thought they made a perfect couple. Suddenly, his phone buzzed with a notification. Ding ding! Money deposited into account. He opened his account app. On the screen was a series of deposits. You have received a transfer from Zhang-san for the amount of 2 million yuan. You have received a transfer from Chen Gui for the amount of 300,000 yuan. You have received a transfer from Qin Zhenzhen for the amount of 3 million yuan. Account balance, 6,108,000 RMB. Looking at the amount, he did some quick math. The money from my bros is here. And I still have one advanced ice spirit skill pearl worth 5 million. All in all, I earned over 10 million from one trip to the spirit ruins. Then he added smugly, as long as I get first place in next week's exam, I'll completely meet Zhenzhen's standards for a partner. This made the system feel utterly helpless. Right, you're in heat again. With your current strength, she probably wouldn't even want to talk to you. He gave the system a disdainful look. What's wrong with my strength? I've been working really hard lately. Lin Thu lied without batting an eye. I absorb spirit pearls and study my books every day. I'm already at bronze rank, 8 stars. His average daily schedule was as follows. 1. Morning. Lin Thu absorbs a spirit pearl. 2. Afternoon. Lin Thu reads a book. 3. Evening. Lin Thu texts Zhenzhen, good night, Lin Thu said proudly. And besides, I've memorized the textbooks. No one understands high school textbooks better than I do. He then reminded the system. So don't waste your breath. Draw a skill. The system could only obey. Drawing skill? Ugh, this damn brat is ordering me around again. After a moment, the system immediately announced, Congratulations, you damn lucky host. You've received the A-rank skill, clairvoyance. This skill left him a bit disappointed. I'm already a top student. It doesn't seem like I can use this during the exam. Whoops, then he thought of another purpose for this skill. But in the future, I can use it to help my goddess check if there are any perverts nearby who like to peek into the dorms. This made the system retort, Aren't you describing yourself? 1 month later, when the exam results were announced, Lin Thu's whole group gathered at the Phoenix Internet Cafe. Zhen looked at the screen, a bit puzzled. In the end, were we the only ones who took the exam? Zhang-san explained, Well, we already got our acceptance letters. We only took the exam to add to the fun for you two top students. Chengmin, beside him, proudly said, Hey, I took it. Seriously, I'm confident I can get into the top 10. Hearing this, Zhang-san happily praised her. My minner is so amazing. Lin Thu watched this affectionate scene between the two. He felt a slight pang in his heart. Those two are progressing so smoothly. I'm so jealous. A moment later, he adjusted his mood and returned to the main topic. It's time for the announcement. Zhenjin suddenly pressed close to him to look at the screen together. Quick, let's check. She didn't notice that her ample chest was pressing completely against the side of his face. It made him extremely flustered. He was so ecstatic that his nose started to bleed. Who could possibly resist this feeling? When she saw his score, Zhenjin's face immediately darkened. Lin Thu, you? This left him momentarily confused. Huh? She then roared in fury, Unforgivable! He wondered to himself, what's going on? She composed herself, pointed at the screen, and quietly asked him, Is this kind of score even possible? He looked at the screen, hardly believing his eyes. His scores were displayed, a perfect 150 on every single subject, leaving them completely dumbfounded. That's the maximum score! Zhang San looked at his grades and immediately showered him with praise. Brother Lin, you may look human, but the things you do are definitely not. This made him very happy. Well said. Is this a line from Wen Kuxing reincarnated? Only Zhenjin was quiet, silently checking her own score off to the side. When he tried to get a closer look at her results, about Zhenjin's score, she shyly blocked him. You don't need to check anymore. Zhenjin turned and walked away. She said, A deal's a deal. I admit that you're a better student than me. This made Zhang San gasp in surprise. Whoa, big sis actually admitted defeat? As for Lin Chu, he was so happy he got another nosebleed. Oh my god. A moment later, he held up his phone for her to see. Hey, Zhenjin, look, I'm better than you at everything, and now I have money too. So when are we going to your place to ask for your hand? This made her immediately scold him. Ask for my hand? What are you talking about? I've never met anyone as shameless as you. Seeing him get chewed out, Zhang San could only remark from the side, Looks like the big boss's road to romance is going to require a lot more effort. He dejectedly admitted, You're right. After that, Jang San and Cheng Min left first. Before going, he reminded him, "Well then, we'll see each other in half a month. Don't forget we're taking the car to the Magic City together." He smiled and confirmed, "I won't forget." With 1 day left before his departure to the Magic City, he was in his room packing his luggage, feeling a bit reluctant to leave. This should be about right for packing. Even though I've only been here for 2 years, I've unintentionally come to see this place as my home. Who knows when I'll be able to come back from this trip? Just then, the system appeared to tease him. "Oh, I never knew you had such a sentimental side." This really annoyed him. "You always have to ruin the mood, don't you? Go on, draw a skill." The system then displayed drawing skill. A moment later, the words Aura Reinforcement S-Rank Skill appeared on the screen, making Lin Chu ecstatic. "Lucky, I can enhance my spiritual energy. I remember right now I'm—" While he was still lost in thought, the system displayed, "System will now automatically enhance the host's spiritual energy." This panicked him, and he yelled, "Wait! Can you stop doing things on your own all the time?" This confused the system. Does the host not wish for the enhancement? If this skill is not used by the end of the day, it will automatically disappear. Lin Q held a spirit pearl in his hand and explained, "It's not that. I've been stuck at Bronze 8 star for days, and I feel like I'm on the verge of a breakthrough. Using the spiritual energy enhancement right now would be a waste. I want to try pushing a little harder and see if I can absorb this on my own." He quickly moved onto his bed. He sat on one side, with a few spirit pearls on the other. Lin Chu immediately began to cultivate. Although he still felt hesitant, he told himself, "I'm betting it all today. I'll just absorb one more silver spirit pearl. Let's risk it." Thanks to this gamble, he managed to break through again. I did it! Right after his successful breakthrough, he immediately commanded the system, 9527, you can use the spiritual energy enhancement now. It quickly acknowledged the order. Yes. Lin Chu gazed at his hands. He'd broken through again. Whenever he had a breakthrough, he always felt incredibly at ease. Breaking through to the silver rank was effortless. There weren't any obstacles at all. At that moment, the system announced a new skill. Because the host has leveled up to silver, the spatial system will grant a new skill, telekinesis. The host can use the power of their mind to pull objects into their hands or control their movement from a distance. This new skill got him really excited. Telekinesis is so awesome! I'm gonna try it right now. Lin Chu immediately tried it out on his backpack. "Backpack, come here, come to Papa!" But he was only able to lift the backpack up. He couldn't move it even an inch closer to himself, which infuriated him. What the hell kind of skill is this? My spiritual energy is about to run out. The system chimed in, laughing mockingly at him. You think moving objects through space is that easy? This requires constant practice. Being laughed at, Lin Chu angrily yelled, 9527, what the hell are you laughing at? The system, not backing down, retorted, besides, the weight of this backpack is considered difficult for a beginner to manipulate. The fact that you could even make it shake is impressive enough. However, he was stubborn and refused to believe it. He kept trying. I don't believe you! Get over here! Get over here! The next day, Li Shui was strolling down the hallway when she noticed his door was ajar. Lin Chu, you didn't close your door! She peeked inside. Little Q, where are you? She only saw a note and an envelope placed neatly on the desk. So she went over, picked up the note, and started reading what it said. It was a letter that Lin Chu had left for her. In the letter, he wrote, Sister Shui, I'm going to Shanghai for school. Time flies. I've already been here for 2 years. I've long considered this place my home. To avoid the sadness of saying goodbye, I left without any warning. When I have free time, I'll come back to visit you, Sister Lin Thu. After she finished reading, she understood why he left. But she still could not help but complain. So you're really going to university in Shanghai, and you didn't even say a word. Then Li Shui picked up the envelope beside her to take a look. The moment she opened it, she saw a thick stack of cash. This took her by surprise. Huh? That's so much money. A wild thought popped into her head. He's so young. Where did he get all this money? He didn't commit a crime and is on the run, did he? Meanwhile, on Lin Thu's end, perhaps because she was just talking about him, he couldn't help but sneeze a few times. Zhenzhen, who was beside him, immediately asked with concern, What's wrong? Shanghai is a bit colder. Be careful not to catch a cold. He just brushed it off. It's nothing, I'm fine. Just then, the phone in his pocket started ringing. Lin Thu picked it up to answer. Hello? Before he could say anything else, Li Shui's loud voice came from the other side. Hey, little Thu, you didn't go and commit a crime, did you? Don't scare me. It's not too late to turn back. Lin Thu had to quickly explain. I'm fine. I earned all that money legitimately. Li Zhek had no choice but to believe him. All right, then. Now that you're a university student, you've grown up. Then she added some advice. Lin Thu, you have to study hard at school. Your fundamentals are a bit weak, but you can make up for it with diligence. He politely agreed. Yes. She then added, and when you find a girlfriend, you have to bring her home for me to meet. Lin Thu smiled and agreed. Okay. Just then, an announcement came over the speakers. "Attention all passengers!" Hearing this, he quickly told Li Shui, "Sis, we're at the station. I'll call you back later." As the announcement played again, "We have now arrived at Shanghai Station. Please mind your belongings." Their entire group disembarked from the train. Just then, Zhang San spoke up. "Boss, your family really cares about you." This made him very happy. "Let's go." Despite the sweltering heat, a large crowd was still waiting outside for the train. A man with a white beard slowly made his way through the dense throng of people. He was none other than Lu Zhen, the Zhenwu rank vice principal of M-City Lingwu. Just then, he saw Lin Thu's group of 4 approaching. He immediately broke into a friendly smile and waved them over. "Lin Thu, Qin Zhenzhen, Zhang San, Dian Lei, over here." Seeing him, Lin Thu was a bit surprised. "Principal? Why are you here?" He clapped a hand on Lin Thu's shoulder and said smugly, "I knew you'd come to our Lingwu, you little rascal. There was no way that old Coot Zhongwen was going to snatch you away from us. I also saw the others who competed with you. Their potential isn't bad." However, just then, he felt something was off. This feeling, "It's not right." He asked excitedly, "You've already reached the silver rank? It's only been a few days." So, before leaving, Lu Zhen added, "Kid, after you finish the enrollment process, come by my office." This left Lin Thu completely confused, his expression darkening. He thought to himself, "What the hell? I just got here and I'm already being summoned to the principal's office." A short while later, at the school dormitory, an upperclassman stood before room 303 and informed Lin Thu and Zhang San, "You two will be in this room. You have 2 other roommates who will be here shortly." Hearing this, he agreed. "Okay, take care, senior." Once inside the room, Zhang San couldn't help but praise him. "Boss, your rate of improvement is just insane. Breaking through to the silver rank in just a few days." Lin Thu replied humbly, You noticed too?" Zhang San then said excitedly, "But since we're roommates, maybe some of your amazing aura will rub off on me and put me on the fast track to leveling up." This left Lin Thu feeling helpless. He just thought to himself, "I should hurry up and unpack so I can go see the vice principal." A while later, after he finished tidying up the room, he summoned his system. Hearing the call, 9527 immediately appeared, its screen already displaying skill draw in progress. A moment later, it quickly announced, "Congratulations, host. You have received the S-Rank skill, Body Fortification. Now fortifying body." This caught him by surprise. "Huh? I drew body fortification again?" The system then added, "Fortification successful." So he said to the system, 9527, check my current physical strength. A moment later, it quickly displayed the results. Host's current strength attribute is equivalent to that of a gold rank powerhouse. 2-star. He was thrilled when he saw this. "What, you mean, theoretically speaking, I'm already a gold rank powerhouse?" The system replied candidly, "That is correct. Because the host's physical constitution has reached the gold rank, the S-Rank body fortification skill will automatically upgrade to an SS-Rank skill." This made him ecstatic. Nice. Even a gold rank physique can still be upgraded. Just then, Zhang 3 was packing up his things. Seeing that he was still in the room, he called out, "Hey, boss, why are you still here? Don't forget, the vice principal is waiting for you." Hearing him say that, he suddenly remembered and quickly rushed off. That's right. A moment later, he was standing before the vice principal's office door. He knocked lightly, and from inside, the voice of Professor Chan called out, "Come in." Seeing it was him, the man invited him to sit down. "Lam Thu, have a seat." As soon as he arrived, Lam Thu got straight to the point. "Professor Chan, was there something you needed to see me about?" He replied, "It's nothing much, I just wanted to ask you a few questions." He answered comfortably, "Please, go ahead and ask." Professor Chan began, "I'm sure you already know about the current ranking system." He recalled the pyramid map of the 7 ranks. Then he questioned him. "There are 7 ranks: Bronze, Platinum, Diamond, True Martial, and Supreme. If I recall correctly, you're a beastification-type powerhouse, right?" He agreed, saying, "That's right." The man then asked seriously, "A little white rabbit?" Which made him a bit uncomfortable, but he still replied, "Yes." At this point, the man grew curious. "You haven't had some kind of fortunate encounter, have you?" Lam Thu quickly feigned ignorance. "Professor Chan, what are you talking about? I don't understand." Inside, he was worried sick that his identity had been exposed. Why would Professor Chan think that? Could it be that 9.527 has been exposed? No way. Unexpectedly, the man started listing a series of scenarios that could explain his rapid breakthrough. It's not like you slipped off a cliff and fell into some immortal's cave, is it? Or perhaps you ate some divine pill or spirit medicine? Otherwise, how could your rank increase so quickly? It's only been a short while and you're already at silver rank. He waved his hands helplessly. After hearing the professor's theories, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. He thought to himself, so the vice principal just reads too many of those overpowered protagonist novels. A moment ago, I really thought my system had been discovered. Just have to think of an excuse to get through this. So he explained that it was actually because of the spirit beads from the last trip. However, the man's face clearly showed his disbelief. This promotion time is just too short. For a beastification like yours, how many skills do you have? He thought for a moment, then answered, 7. Professor Chan leaned in closer to him, questioning intensely, 7? The man loudly refuted everything he said. How is that possible? I'm considered an authority at Linvo University. I've met my fair share of little white rabbit awakened ones. So why do you have so many skills? Unless you're not a little white rabbit. Lam Thu waved his hands and gently explained, Professor Chan, my beastification has actually undergone an evolution. After evolving, I can use some spatial type abilities. This greatly surprised the man. What? He quickly asked again. A spatial system? Can a beastification evolve into a different type? He answered seriously. It's hard to believe, but it's the truth. Then he picked up the suitcase beside him and said, Professor, look, this is a suitcase I stored in my spatial system. This shocked the man even more. What? Professor Chan took his suitcase and inspected it thoroughly. It's a physical object. It seems you really do have spatial-type skills. He told him with some apprehension, I don't know much about the spatial system myself, but you've come to the right place by enrolling in our Lindo University. Then, he introduced the university's principal, because the only known true martial rank spatial system user in our country is our university's principal. Hearing the name Ouyang Zi, he became very excited. Our principal is a spatial-type awakened one? The man quickly avoided his enthusiastic gaze and made up an excuse. Unfortunately, he isn't at the university right now. I'll introduce you to him later so you can learn from him. Then he asked curiously, besides your evolution into a spatial system, does anyone else know? He didn't hide it and said, Tan Chan Chan and Zhang 3, who went to train with me in the spirit ruins, they both know. The man then reminded him, tell them they must keep this a secret. Lam Thu agreed. Yes, Professor Chan. At that moment, the man suddenly said, come here, stand up and hit me with a full power punch. Let me see. This shocked him. What? The man explained. During the last competition, I sensed that your physique wasn't so simple, kid. Let this old man test your true strength. At that, Lam Thu no longer hesitated. My apologies then, Professor Chan. He landed a powerful blow right in the man's midsection. Seeing him stay silent, he quickly asked with concern, Professor Chan, are you all right? Professor Chan felt the impact of the punch and was momentarily frightened. Gold rank. This kid looks weak on the outside, but his body hides the strength of a monster. At that point, he asked further, Kid, has your physical constitution already reached gold rank? He replied politely, Yes, Professor Chan, should we continue? However, the man got angry and threatened to deduct from his scholarship. Continue my ass! The cost of repairing the floor will be deducted from your scholarship. This made him very indignant. You can't! I was showing respect for my elder. How could you treat me like this? At that moment, the man pulled his foot out of the newly cracked floor and informed him, There's one more thing. The competition at Linvo University in 3 months originally had nothing to do with you. But since your physical constitution has already reached gold rank, I've decided to register you for it. The man pointed directly at Lam Thu, who showed absolutely no interest. I'm not going. Who told you to deduct my money? The man immediately started listing the benefits of the competition to get him to go. This competition is on a whole other level compared to the spirit energy competition back in high school. But the answer he received was still, no, I don't care. So, Professor Chan resorted to using material incentives to persuade him. The champion's reward is very generous, not to mention the exclusive Platinum Spirit Pearl. The cash prize alone is 5 million. Back then, he had agreed with a strong sense of responsibility. Teacher Liu, don't worry. For the honor of our school, I'll definitely do my best. It made the man so mad he was speechless. This kid, after that, he went straight back to his dorm room. As soon as he opened the door, Zhang San, who was inside, looked at him excitedly. Brother Lin, you're back. And just in time, our new roommate is here too. He looked over and saw a guy with green, broccoli-like hair. He tried to stifle a laugh as he greeted him. Hello. The guy saw Lin Chu's expression and immediately knew what he was thinking. He explained loudly, I'm only going to say this once. I was born with this hair color. I absolutely did not dye it. At first, his words made him think the guy could read minds. Hey, how did you know what I was thinking? Could you be a rare psychic type? He yelled back indignantly. Psychic type, my ass. Everything you're thinking is written all over your face. This was Zhang Hongyang, a 9-star bronze rank plant type. Just then, Lin Chu looked at his second roommate. Unexpectedly, he opened his mouth and said, Is this your dad who came with you to register? Hello, sir? This made Hongyang's face freeze. Being called his friend's parent made his new dorm mate furious. You little brat. Lin Chu quickly felt a menacing killing intent. He even wondered to himself, what's wrong with this old guy? This blonde-haired Fran just asked angrily, are you kidding me? Just then, Zhang San quickly stepped in to explain, Brother Lin, this is also our roommate. This left him truly stunned. Huh? He also took out his ID card to show him. Lin Chu looked at the blonde friend in front of him, filled with questions. He's really 17, half a year younger than me. How did he end up looking so mature? He wasn't in the mood to explain it to him. I refused to answer that question, although a lot of people say that. A moment later, Hong Duong spoke up. All right, enough joking around since everyone's here. Let's figure out the pecking order in the dorm. Truong 3 also agreed. Okay, everyone take out your IDs. Just like that, all 4 of them took out their ID cards to compare their birth dates. After checking, Lam Thu turned out to be the oldest. He laughed triumphantly. Look at this, I'm definitely the boss now, Hong Duong said resentfully. Damn it, I thought it was me. Truong 3 offered, then we'll call you second brother from now on. But Hong Duong disagreed. Fuming, he said, call me Old 2. Though he didn't understand why, Lam Thu agreed. Huh? Fine, Old 2 it is. A moment later, someone came to their door and called out, Students, the advisor has announced an assembly in the classroom. Hearing this, they quickly replied, Okay, we're coming right now. Let's go. A short while later, the 4 of them arrived at the classroom. Inside, many students who had arrived earlier stared intently at Lam Thu's group. Their gazes shifted to Lam Thu's blonde friend, and they all chimed in, Hello, ma'am, which made him feel utterly helpless. I'm your classmate. Hearing that, Lam Thu burst out laughing. A moment later, the teacher appeared behind Lam Thu. She coughed, Ahem, signaling for his group. This beautiful teacher was Hang Quan Ngung. Rank, Platinum, 8 stars. Type, extremely rare 9-tailed fox. She ordered them, Go to your seats, students. She then stood at the lectern. She began by briefly introducing herself to the class. Hello, everyone. I am your advisor, Hang Quan Ngung. For the foreseeable future, if any of you need help, you can come find me. Then she got to the main point. I've called everyone to this class meeting today mainly for 2 things. First, I hope everyone gets to know each other. And also to elect a class president. First up is self-introductions. I'll demonstrate once. She began to introduce herself again as an example for the class. Hello, everyone. I am Hang Quan Ngung from Shanghai. A platinum 8-star beast form awakened. My beast form type is a 9-tailed fox. I like sports. Then she pointed towards Truong 3, calling on him to introduce himself first. Let's have the students introduce themselves one by one. We'll start with the male student in the first seat. Although a little surprised, he still gave his introduction very smoothly. My name is Truong 3, a silver 2-star healing support type awakened from City B. I like classmate Trin Man. Hearing him say he liked her in front of the whole class, Trin Man was very embarrassed. After his introduction, she chuckled softly. This kid is really straightforward. Next, her eyes glanced over to Lam Thu below. He understood her meaning. He quickly stood up and introduced himself. Hello, everyone. My name is Lam Thu, a silver 2-star beast form awakened from City B. I like all the beautiful things in the world. Right after he finished, she smiled, wanting to add a little more information about him for the class. Wait a moment. Does everyone remember him? He's the only one who achieved a perfect score in this exam. His beast form type is a rabbit. With just that bit of information, the entire class knew who he was before she even finished. They started gossiping behind his back. I heard a freak with a perfect score showed up in this exam. I can't believe he's in our class. But his awakened form is a rabbit? Could it be? He only got in based on his academic scores? Although somewhat angry, he didn't want to bother arguing with them. It's too exhausting. It's not like your words can actually hurt me. Just then, Quan Ngung invited the next students to introduce themselves. Next student, please introduce yourself. After a round of introductions, she moved on to the second issue of the class meeting. All right, everyone has finished their introductions. I trust that you all know a little about each other now. Next, we will proceed with the election for class president. Regarding their achievements, she said, Since you all managed to get into Lingwu M City, your achievements must all be outstanding. Then she looked at the entire class's scores and decided, I will select the 4 most outstanding representatives. You are all silver rank. And your scores on the exam were all above 700 points. You are in order. Tan Chan Chan, Ao Duong Tien, Tu Ma Viem, and Lam Tu. Hearing their names, they quickly walked up to the front of the class. Quan Ngung held the microphone and announced the upcoming proceedings. Next up is the election speeches. Each person will have 2 minutes. Which student would like to go first? The student with pale blonde hair, Tu Ma Viem, whose awakened type was an eagle, beast form, silver 2-star. Tu Ma Viem spoke up, I'll go first. She immediately agreed. All right, classmate Tu Ma Viem will speak first. He took the microphone and spoke confidently. Hello, everyone.
I am Tuma VM. First, I must thank our advisor for giving me this opportunity.
To run for class president. He even proudly listed his achievements. Ever since elementary school, I have always been the class president. I have extensive management experience.
I believe that if I become class president, I can turn our class into the best class at Lingwu University.
He finished sincerely. Thank you, everyone. I hope you will vote for me. The blonde dorm mate of Lam Thu's scoffed from his seat. Everyone here is a top student from their hometown.
Why should we pick him?
Trong 3 also agreed. That's right. Then Quan Ngung pointed toward Lam Thu. Okay, thank you for your eloquent speech, classmate Tuma Wiem. Next, please welcome classmate Lam Thu. In complete contrast to Tuma Viem's earlier enthusiasm, he looked extremely weary as he replied, yeah. He even thought to himself, this position sounds like a huge pain. Completely uninterested, he gave a reluctant speech. Hey everyone, I'm Lam Thu. I don't want to be class president, he added, telling his classmates, so if you want to vote, please vote for our classmate Tan Chan Chan. Thank you, everyone. This really annoyed Quan Ngung. On the outside, she just politely said, I've been a teacher for many years, and that's the strangest campaign speech I've ever heard. Next, Tan Chan Chan. Inside, she was furious. Is this kid here just to cause trouble? When Tan Chan stepped up to speak, she just said curtly, please vote for me, thank you. Then she immediately walked off, leaving teacher Quan Ngung stunned. Is that it? Is the speech over? She affirmed, yes. After hearing her speech, Trin Man's group down below all cheered for her. As expected of our queen, we'll always be fans of the Ice Queen, the one and only cool and aloof goddess. While Quan Ngung was telling the class, that has to be the shortest campaign speech I've ever heard. The final classmate, Ouyang Thien, glanced over at Chan Chan. She thought to herself, this cold girl's popularity is really high. However, that's no reason for Ouyang Thien to be scared. But to me, she thought, she's no threat at all. When Ouyang Thien stepped up, everyone's attention turned to her. The area erupted with cheers. It's Ouyang Thien!
So beautiful. She gives off such a hot vibe.
She gently brushed her hair back and spoke sweetly to everyone. Hi everyone, I'm Ouyang Thien. I don't have anything fancy to say either.
Just please send your cute little votes my way.
In the end, she didn't forget to give everyone a cute look. This act drove the boys in the class wild. They all cheered in unison. You got it, determined to vote for her. The dynamic in the class was now clearly split. On one side was the cool and elegant Tan Chan Chan. On the other was the playful and hot Ouyang Thien. Both had their own unique, captivating beauty. For a moment, Lam Thu was torn, not knowing who to vote for. He thought to himself, Ouyang and Chan Chan's styles are complete opposites. Both of them are really popular. After a round of voting, the results were finally in. The teacher held the results in her hand and announced loudly, all right, after tallying the votes, we have a bit of a surprise. Our class president and the person who received the most votes is classmate Tan Chan Chan. Let's give her a round of applause. Even though she was the winner, Chan Chan maintained her cold demeanor throughout the class. As for Ouyang Thien, after the teacher announced, the runner-up is classmate Ouyang Thien. With 29 votes, she will be the vice president. She was furious and said, damn it, don't let me find out who didn't vote for me. Lam Thu, who was nearby, felt a pang of guilt. He felt a chill run down his spine. Brr, it suddenly feels a little cold. Concluding the election, the teacher said, all right, the selection of this class president is now over. I hope you two can cooperate well with my work. Next, let's move on to the second topic of this class meeting. That is your military training. Our military training is different from the training for ordinary high school students. It is extremely strict. First, attendance for this training is mandatory. Anyone found absent will be immediately expelled. Second, the instructors we've invited are elite soldiers from the Vermilion Bird Squadron who have truly experienced life and death. They will train you as if you were real soldiers. Hearing this, a bewildered Lam Thu turned to Sima Wiem and asked, hey, is the Vermilion Bird Squadron really famous or something? Sima Wiem looked at Lam Thu in surprise. You don't know about the Vermilion Bird Squadron? Seeing Lam Thu's clueless expression, Ouyang Thien explained to him, the Vermilion Bird Squadron is the only aerial unit in our country. It's said that the squadron's members are either flight-type beast-morphing awakens, or they possess mountable spirit beasts. Seeing Lam Thu lost in thought, Ouyang Thien was unexpectedly drawn to him. She stared intently at Lam Thu and thought, you know, this top scorer is actually pretty handsome. I should try talking to him. Putting on a cute act, she approached Lam Thu to start a conversation. Besides the Vermilion Bird Squadron, does our country have Azure Dragon and White Tiger squadrons? But Lam Thu didn't pay her any mind. His mind was now completely filled with thoughts of the Vermilion Bird Squadron. And they have mountable spirit beasts. At this thought, Lam Thu's spirit suddenly flared up, his eyes filled with a hungry desire to conquer.
I think I have quite a few spirit beast skills. Maybe I could get a mount for myself.
In a flash, the day of the training arrived. All the students gathered punctually and stood in neat formation. Man noticed Jong-san seemed a little different, so she asked caringly, "San-san, have you lost weight?" Getting attention from his crush like that, Jang-san beamed and replied, "I haven't seen you in days, man. I couldn't even eat." Seeing the two acting so lovey-dovey, Lam Thu suddenly felt a bit annoyed. "Lost weight, my foot, these two are always showing off." He turned to sneak a peek at Chan-chan, thinking, "I wonder when my own spring will arrive. My goddess looks so cute even in a tight-fitting uniform." As he was lost in thought, Sima VM suddenly shouted, "Guys, look!" Hearing that, everyone looked up at the sky in unison. Thousands of enormous spirit beasts were slowly flying towards them, their wings radiating immense power. Riding on them were the members of the Vermilion Bird Squadron. Lam Sung, standing on the head of a spirit beast, commanded majestically, "Everyone, land!" Following his order, the flocks of spirit beasts slowly descended to the ground. Lam Sung landed lightly, then powerfully declared, "This training exercise officially begins now. I am the squadron leader of the Vermilion Bird Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Lam Sung, your head instructor." His voice was laced with annoyance. "As I introduce myself, I am the commander-in-chief for this military training, Lam Sung. To be honest, the fact that we were sent to train a group of students like you makes me very displeased. People who live in comfort and pleasure like you are not what we soldiers strive to be." Pausing for a moment, he clasped his hands behind his back and, looking at a chubby classmate with a beer belly, continued in a low voice. "You are all just greenhouse flowers who haven't yet realized how cruel this world is." Lin Chong faced the soldiers lined up in formation and announced, "But since it's an order from our superiors, we will obey. Next, the instructors will deploy the training tasks for each class. They will train you no differently than they train awakened soldiers." The gold-rank 3-star medal attribute instructor, Qin Ming, looked straight at Lin Chu and introduced himself formally. "Hello, everyone. I'm Qin Ming, your training instructor for the next month." Lin Chu, with an expression of pure innocence, asked quietly, but loud enough for everyone to hear, "A Lin Chong and a Qin Ming? Aren't they from Mount Liang by any chance?" This made everyone burst out laughing. Only Qin Ming frowned, thinking angrily to himself, "This batch of freshmen is quite rebellious, huh? I hope you'll all still be laughing later." Glancing over the group of freshmen, Qin Ming looked at his file and said, "Very good. You all seem to be in high spirits. In that case, next up is..." "First item on today's agenda," Qin Ming shouted. "Everyone runs 10 laps around the training ground. You are not allowed to use your spiritual energy. If I catch you, you'll all be punished with an extra 5 laps. The freshmen panicked and shouted in unison, "10 laps?" Lin Kyo stood still, cursing inwardly. "Damn, do we have to go this hard right from the start?" Qin Ming crossed his arms, tucking the clipboard under his armpit, and watched the freshmen running like charging bulls as he shouted, "Very good! All of you run for me! If you don't finish, you don't get to eat lunch!" Qin Ming glanced at a freshman who was panting heavily as he ran, gasping, "Instructor, I can't run anymore." Qin Ming looked at his clipboard and thought to himself, "Just as I predicted, by the 5th lap. People are starting to fall behind." Qin Ming glanced at a freshman running sluggishly and assessed, "I can gauge everyone's physical fitness from this run, see your strengths and weaknesses." Qin Ming checked Lin Chio's file as he zipped past. Instructor Qin Ming watched Lin Chio run so effortlessly and thought, "But this student, Lin Chu," Qin Ming silently evaluated him. "He's just a silver-rank rabbit-type beast morph. How is he still able to run at the front of the pack?" Zhen and Ouyang Qian were running under the hot sun. Their bodies were weak and trembling, panting heavily with exhaustion. Lin Chu glanced at her with a worried look. "Zhen seems really tired. She's having a little trouble keeping up." Lin Chu deliberately slowed his pace to wait for her. As Zhen tried her best to keep running, he held out his hand towards her. "Are you exhausted? If not, I can help you run for a bit." Zhen, still panting, replied in a weary voice, "I'm fine. You go on ahead." Lin Kyo felt a bit disappointed, thinking, as expected of a goddess, she's still so strong-willed. Ouyang Qian grabbed Lin Chio's hand, giving him a flirtatious look with pleading eyes. "Little handsome, I'm out of energy too. You can help me." Lin Chu got goosebumps all over and panicked. He tactfully refused. That wouldn't be very appropriate." She put on a pitiful, coquettish act. "Why not?" Seeing this scene, Zhen flared up with anger. Lin Chu bolted, waving to Zhen. "Zhen, I'm going ahead then. Call me if you need anything." She could only force a smile and reply, "Okay." On the 9th lap, Sima Yan was running while gasping for breath, his face purple and sweating profusely. He was stumbling along. Ha! Lin Chu was still running leisurely beside him. His expression was unchanged. Sima Yan looked at Lin Chu, who was running and whistling with a perfectly calm face, and thought angrily, "It's finally the last lap. I'm in first place, but this damn rabbit keeps up with me." Letting him be the class president was one thing, but when it comes to running, I refuse to lose to him again. Sima Yan glared at Lin Chu, grinding his teeth as he thought, "Unforgivable." This startled Lin Chu, whose eyes widened. Huh? A sudden chill. Seeing Sima Yan's exhausted, struggling appearance, Lin Chu chuckled to himself. To hide my physical strength, I have to humbly run side by side with this guy. At this rate, I would have finished 20 laps by now. Lin Chu glanced back and saw Zhen Zhen and Ouyang Qian glaring daggers at each other, thinking to himself, looking at this, my physical stamina seems to be much higher than everyone else's. Seeing Lin Chu was distracted, Sima Yan used all his strength to sprint away. He cursed inwardly, "This damn rabbit, is he looking down on me?" Looking around while we're running. Lin Chu and Sima Yan both sprinted forward with all their might. He thought, I am a mighty eagle. How can I lose to a rabbit? The finish line was right in front of them. Sima Yan gritted his teeth. I can't take it anymore, I have to go for it. Sima Yan dashed forward like crazy, not forgetting to glance back at Lin Chu, which made him wonder, why did this guy suddenly speed up? Lin Chu watched Sima Yan charging like a bull, and he thought to himself, calm down, man. I'm not fighting you for first place. I'm fine with second. Why are you running so fast? Lin Chu caught up to him, thinking to himself, huh? No, this won't do. I have to stay humble. Just staying steadily behind him is good enough. Sima Yan was furious inside. You can still keep up? He shut his eyes and clenched his jaw. Sima Yan frantically accelerated, leaving Lin Chu a good distance behind as he shouted non-stop. I'm giving it my all. I absolutely cannot lose to a rabbit. Running too fast and not paying attention, his foot hit a large rock, thump, causing Sima Yan to tumble forward. Seeing this, Lin Chu couldn't stop cursing in his head. Crap! I just sped up, I can't stop now! His strides grew longer and longer as he was about to cross the finish line. Lin Chu had tears in his eyes, thinking, how is this kid so weak? I already let him win, and he still couldn't take first place? Sima Yan lay sprawled on the ground, moaning constantly. I worked so hard. What was it all for, to get second place? Qin Ming looked at his clipboard and called to Lin Chu. Congratulations on getting first place. Your name is Lin Q, right? Tanmin looked at him, his eyes filled with excitement. With his hands on his hips, he said, not bad at all. After running 10 laps, it's like he felt no pressure at all. Lin Qiu thought to himself, I'm screwed. Wasn't my performance a bit too over the top? Qin Ming's eyes widened as the new recruit, who was just full of life and rosy-cheeked a moment ago, now looked like an old man, trembling all over, bent over and holding his back, groaning non-stop. Ugh, I'm dead tired. My arms, my thighs, my waist. It hurts so much. Lin Qiu thought to himself, can I keep faking it for a little while longer? Qin Ming paid no attention to that new recruit's foolish act. He wrote directly in his book, concluding with one sentence, in short, I'll remember your face, kid. Lin Qiu sighed in frustration, his face gloomy. My plan to run modestly is ruined. Seeing Sima Yan bent over and dejected, Lin Qiu silently cursed. It's all his fault, I already went so easy on him. Oh, and he still couldn't get first place. Useless. Absolutely useless. Sima Yan looked up and saw Lin Qiu staring at him, and he yelled angrily, what are you looking at? If I hadn't fallen, first place would have definitely been mine. I let you have this one. He thought irritably, doesn't this kid have any humility at all? Lin Qiu immediately put on a smug look, crossing his arms and provoking him. I'm looking at you, and you look more like a piece of scum who can't stand being looked at by others. Sima Yun was so provoked he went crazy, opening his mouth wide. He gritted his teeth and sneered, don't get cocky. We both have beast transformations. A rabbit like you can never defeat an eagle. You're only fit to be my prey. Lin Qiu looked at him, completely unbothered, and replied, huh, I'm afraid you know nothing about my beast transformation. All the new recruits completed their 10 laps. Qin Ming smiled with satisfaction, thinking, they all finished. At the very least, this group passed in terms of willpower. Qin Ming shouted, everyone fall in! After everyone had assembled, Qin Ming said, I now have a certain understanding of the situation. Next for everyone is the second training item, split into 5 groups for push-ups, 100 each. The pot-bellied fatty slapped his forehead with a thud, groaning, oh, heavens. This is demonic. My legs were just wrecked, and now they're starting on the arms. Lin Qiu and Sima Yan just stood silently, listening to the announcement from Instructor Qin Ming, who was holding the notebook in his hands. He stared at Lin Qiu and ordered, all of you, spread out and train individually. No slacking is allowed. Count out loud for me. Qin Ming stared intently at the group of new recruits, and among them, the most prominent were still Lin Qiu and Sima Yan. He droned on, I'll be watching all of you. If I find anyone doing less, then congratulations, you've hit the jackpot, because the entire group will start over. Qin Ming opened his thick notebook and said loudly, All right. Begin now! After the instructor's command, everyone started training seriously. Sima Yan's movements were incredibly fluid, his face full of confidence. He thought to himself, push-ups, huh? I've trained for this before. I can probably win this. But that thought of his was instantly shattered when he turned to look at Lin Chu. Seeing Lin Kyo's fast and precise movements, Sima Yan's eyes widened in shock as he exclaimed, "Holy crap! What kind of monster is this kid? How can he be so fast?" It wasn't just Sima Yan. Even the training instructor was stunned by Lin Chu's strength. Seeing that he had drawn attention, Lin Chu thought, "Oh, forget it. I don't care about being modest anymore. It seems the instructor has already seen through my real strength anyway. And so what if he has? He's only seen the tip of the iceberg." Seeing that Lin Chu was so young yet possessed such strength, the instructor couldn't help but be amazed. He immediately flipped open the roster to look at Lin Chu's name. After thinking for a long while, he concluded, "This kid is exceptionally outstanding. I need to keep a close eye on him." Then the instructor announced, "Last group all complete." Everyone's body was completely worn out. They collapsed on the ground, exhausted. Sima Yan plopped onto the ground, panting and complaining. "This instructor is a demon." Ouyang Qian lay on the ground, gasping, "I'm so tired. I can't go on anymore." They hadn't rested for long when the instructor said, "All right, morning training is over. You all have 2 hours to rest. We'll continue this afternoon." Everyone was worried. Hearing this, Sima Yan spoke up. "What, there's still more training today?" A classmate lamented, "Oh my God." Seeing this, the instructor's face darkened. "Ahem. I seem to sense that you all are a little dissatisfied. How about this? I'll give you a chance. This afternoon you can challenge me. I will suppress my own cultivation level to be the same as yours. As long as one of you can beat me, you can all be exempt from this entire month of training." Then he held up the record book. "Furthermore, all of your scores for this training period will be marked as excellent. So does anyone want to challenge me?" Sima Yan looked at the instructor and asked, "Sir, are you sure you'll suppress your cultivation level to be the same as ours?" Chen Ming replied, "Correct. I am currently a gold 3-star. I will suppress it to mid-tier platinum." Sima Yan replied with utmost confidence, "All right, sir. We accept your challenge." "Haha, good." Hearing the instructor's proposal, Lin Chu thought for a moment. A challenge against the instructor? This is a little interesting. He then turned and asked the instructor, "Sir, can we use weapons in the spar? What is my weapon?" Lin Chu said casually, "A spear." Hearing this, Qin Ming thought he meant a gun, and a hint of fear showed on his face. "Student Lin Chu, using a gun in a sparring match isn't a very good idea. Even though I'm gold rank, I can't handle bullets." Lin Kyo quickly explained, "Reporting, sir, it's a long spear." Hearing that, Qin Ming breathed a sigh of relief. "In that case, it's fine. See you this afternoon," he muttered. "You stinky brat, you should have said so earlier." Lin Chu cheerfully bid farewell to the instructor. "See you this afternoon?" Zhang San excitedly ran after Lin Chu. "Boss, you want to challenge the instructor too? I'll cheer for you." Lin Kyo didn't know that his every move was being recorded by the Vermilion Bird Squadron. Lin Chong looked at the screen and asked Yi Huo, "Lu Chen, that kid seems to have better physical abilities than the others. But why are you paying so much attention to him?" Lu Zhen replied, "He is my most promising new recruit for this term." He watched Lin Chu intently and said, "He's the one who made that trap." Hearing Lu Zhen's words made Lin Chong curious. "He dared to make a move right in front of you? If I get the chance, I definitely have to get to know him a little." Lu Zhen then added, "There are a few others that I also personally selected. I'll let you train them." Lin Chong smiled happily. "Yes, sir. I guarantee I'll complete the mission." Lu Zhen gently pats Lin Thu's shoulder. "All right then. Don't be so stiff around me." Then he glanced at his face and said, "Young Lin, that scar on your face has been there for a few years now. Why don't you let a healer help you with that?" Lin Thu's expression immediately darkened as he replied, "Sir, I made a vow. As long as the culprit hasn't been brought to justice, I won't heal this scar for a single day." His eyes turned ice cold. "I keep it to remind myself, every single moment, to never forget the pain of that day." Seeing how deep Lin Thu's hatred ran, Liu Zhen could only sigh. It's already been so many years. "And you still can't let it go. I can only hope you find him soon." Lin Thu turned his head and said firmly, "I will find him. And about that, I already have a few leads. I believe that day isn't far off." At exactly 1 in the afternoon, all the students gathered at the training ground to watch the sparring matches. Over here, Lin was rummaging through the bushes, looking for something. Zhang San, seeing this, walked over and asked, "Boss, what are you doing?" "The challenge match is about to start." Lin Kyo stared thoughtfully at the broom in his hand, saying he was looking for a suitable weapon. Then he turned to Zhang San and continued, "That long staff you gave me before is broken, isn't it?"
Zhang San suddenly remembered and quickly replied, "Oh, right." He then high-fived someone in the bushes, and a person holding a long spear unexpectedly jumped out. With an excited look on his face, Zhang San showed it off to Lin Thu. "Brother Lin, this is a long spear made from a rare alloy. Go on, use it." Lin Thu was overjoyed. "Oh, did you prepare this specially for me?" Saying this, he took the spear and examined it carefully. "It looks like it can do some serious damage. And the design is beautiful too. Zhang San, you're really thoughtful." Seeing how much Lin Thu liked his gift, Zhang San's face beamed with joy as he replied shyly, "I'm just glad you like it, Brother Lin." Just then, the instructor walked over, a look of great anticipation on his face. "Looks like you're all ready. Who's up first?" Hearing Qin Ming's voice, Lin Thu was startled and turned around. "Huh? It looks like they've already started." Stepping up first was Sima Yan. Full of confidence, he said, "I'll challenge you first, sir." He calmly addressed Qin Ming. "I am a 2-star silver awakened beastification type. My beast form is a hawk. Please give me your guidance, instructor." Hearing this, Qin Ming found it a bit interesting. He thought to himself, the Vermilion Bird Squadron. Aside from their mounts, they also have members whose beast forms are birds. "I've sparred with them more than a few times," he said to Sima Yan. "Oh, is that so? Then go ahead and transform. Remember to take your clothes off." Sima Yan focused his power and began his beastification. His arms transformed into hawk wings, and he immediately soared into the sky. From the air, Sima Yan skillfully unleashed his spirit skill. Azure Light. Slash! Seeing this, Zhang San watched with his jaw dropped in amazement. Lin Thu, seeing this for the first time, couldn't help but look on with admiration. "This is the first time I've ever seen a beastification like this. He can fly and attack at the same time. So cool." Seeing this, Qin Ming just gave a cold laugh. "Ha!" and activated Metal Eyes. Seeing his attack blocked so easily, Sima Yan was furious. "Damn it!" He immediately unleashed his spirit skill. Azure Light Flurry. Lin Thu, watching Qin Ming from the sidelines, was filled with admiration. The instructor is an awakened with the rare metal attribute. No wonder he said anyone who can beat him gets to skip training. With the metal attribute's defense being so high, who could possibly damage him? Seeing that his attacks were completely useless against Qin Ming, Sima Yan was stunned, unable to believe his eyes. Noticing Sima Yan was nearly exhausted, Qin Ming took the initiative and asked, "Kid, you're running low on spirit energy, aren't you? Are you going to admit defeat, or do I have to beat you?" Though reluctant, Sima Yan could only say helplessly, "I admit defeat." Qin Ming turned away and said lazily, "Next!" Without a word, Ouyang Qian stepped forward. "Ouyang Qian, 3-star silver, fire attribute awakened." She gave an arrogant smile. "Please guide me," Qin Ming replied coldly. "Fine, you may begin." Ouyang Qian started with a fireball, which Qin Ming easily dodged, but he thought to himself, the damage from this little fireball is low and it's easy to dodge. But for her to challenge me, she must have more up her sleeve than this. Suddenly, a firestorm erupted. Qin Ming used his spirit skill, Steel Fortress, to defend. A flame like this was actually putting some pressure on a metal attribute awakened like him. He thought to himself, "Still, I'm just using one spirit skill. There's no way I'm going to lose. The temperature of this flame is probably around 1,500 degrees Celsius. A little tough," he thought. Ouyang Qian poured all her strength into the spirit skill, but she quickly grew tired. Panting, she fell to her knees and said in a weak voice, I can't go on. I admit defeat. I'm out of spirit energy." Qin Ming wiped the sweat from his face and said to Ouyang Qian, Your strength isn't half bad." From a distance, Zhen Zhen watched Ouyang Qian with a puzzled look. Qin Ming thought simply, "I'm not going to overthink this. I'll just take the offensive." With that, he charged straight towards Yang Qian, not expecting what she would do. She had actually used this tactic to lure Qin Ming closer. Seeing her prey had taken the bait, she gave a triumphant smirk. She launched her Yang Fire technique at Qin Ming, not forgetting to remind him, "You'd better be careful." Caught in the unexpected trap, Qin Ming was momentarily startled and shouted, "What the?" But with his vast experience, a small trick like this wasn't enough to trouble him. Qin Ming reflexively used his metalwood attribute defense. Seeing Qin Ming struggling to defend, Yang Qian revealed an arrogant, triumphant expression and said, "I can't afford to go easy on you, instructor." Then, she used all her strength to unleash a Yang Fire cannon blast. Seeing the fireball hurtling towards him, Qin Ming's face went pale with shock. Damn, this year's freshmen are terrifying. Of course, despite giving it her all, Yang Qian still had to admit defeat. After Yang Qian, Zhen Zhen was the next to issue a challenge. She stepped forward and said coldly, "Qin Zhen Zhen, Silver 4-star, Ice System Awakened. I request the instructor's guidance." Qin Ming looked at Zhen Zhen and praised her inwardly. To reach 4-star as a freshman, impressive. Zhen asked Qin Ming, "Instructor, do you need to rest? I don't want to take advantage of you." Hearing this, Qin Ming quickly replied, "No need. After all, I'm a gold rank expert. I still have plenty of spirit energy." Hearing Qin Ming's words, Zhen immediately got into a fighting stance and reminded him, "Then be careful, instructor." Qin Ming, ready and with a serious face, said, "Begin." Zhen, holding ice arrows, fired them straight at Qin Ming. Qin Ming carefully blocked her attack, feeling how powerful it was. Zhen didn't hesitate and continuously fired more ice arrows. This forced Qin Ming to be cautious. He thought to himself, "What kind of monsters are these? This one is even stronger than the last." The continuous barrage of arrows made it so that Qin Ming couldn't use his metal wood attribute to block and could only move nimbly to dodge. "Damn it! To resist this ice skill, my body would need to be completely transformed into metal. It's better to go for close combat." While he was concentrating on how to approach, Zhen suddenly jumped high and fired an arrow straight at Qin Ming, he thought. But getting close to this girl is difficult with her high-damage ice arrows. Unable to keep his composure, Qin Ming could now only do his best to defend. He grumbled internally, "My godlike composure has completely crumbled. This is so painful." He was sent flying like a kite by the young girl. Lin Chu, watching from a distance, couldn't help but feel delighted. This big bro instructor couldn't get close the entire time. He couldn't get within 3 meters of Zhen. Our Zhen is really amazing. Suddenly, Zhen raised her arm and signaled, "I lose. I'm out of spirit energy." Qin Ming, after a strenuous defense, could finally take a break. He gasped for air. "Ha! I'm dead tired." I finally managed to hold out. After regaining his composure, Qin Ming turned to Lin Chu and said, "Anyone else?" Lin Chu raised his hand and casually shouted, "Me! Lin Chu! Beastification system awakened! Silver 2-star!" Qin Ming looked at Lin Chu with a suspicious gaze. "So you're finally stepping up. Among this batch of students, I'm most curious about this kid's strength." Qin Ming looked at Lin Chu and just replied, "Oh." Seeing Qin Ming approach him, Lin Chu felt a little worried and asked, "Instructor, don't you need to rest for a bit? You must have used up a lot of energy in that last fight." Qin Ming immediately replied, "It's fine, I recover quickly." He thought that fighting a silver 2-star beastification system user wouldn't cost him much spirit energy. Seeing this, Lin Chong stepped forward from behind to stop them. He said to Qin Ming, "Recover your spirit energy. Go all out later. If you don't, you'll lose miserably." Hearing this, Qin Ming couldn't help but be taken aback. "Hmm?" he asked Lin Chong doubtfully. "Go all out, I'm sure of it," Lin Chong replied coldly. "Mm-hmm." The other students were stunned when they heard this. One student spoke up, "Did I hear that right? Instructor Qin is a gold rank 3-star expert." Another student chimed in, "That's right. The instructor is really strong. He was even holding back against the class president and vice president." Mayan saw Lin Chong taking Lin Chu so seriously and showed a jealous attitude, cursing inwardly, "That damn rabbit, just wait until you get beaten up." Qin Ming sat down on the ground and replied softly, "All right, I'll rest for a bit." Lin Chong turned and walked hurriedly towards Lin Chu. "Little guy, Instructor 6 told me about you." Hearing that, Lin Chu quickly asked, "He told you?" Lin Chong replied, "Mm-hmm, he did. Your physical abilities are truly strong." Lin Chu asked further, "Did he also tell you about the space system?" Lin Chong was a bit puzzled. "What? Space system?" Lin Chu, seeing he was about to be exposed, feigned ignorance. "You must have misheard. I said beastification system." Lin Chong thought to himself, "Little rascal. I clearly heard you say space system. If you really do have the space system, you might be able to help me accomplish that thing." He clapped Lin Chu firmly on the shoulder and said, "Kid, help me teach that brat Qin Ming a good lesson later. I feel like he's been getting a little cocky lately." Hearing this, Qin Ming was a bit unhappy. "Hey now, platoon leader, you're underestimating me way too much. Do you really think I'll lose to a silver rank brat?" Lin Chong turned to Qin Ming and said, "If you lose, it's 500 push-ups. Dare to bet on it?" Qin Ming's voice was full of confidence. "Your esteemed self should just get ready to do those push-ups."